Well, not anymore, because Sports 56 is opening the airwaves overnight. From 12 midnight till 6 a.m. for people like you to talk sports during your own 1-hour radio talk show on Sports After Dark. That means for 1 hour, you can tell us what's really on your mind regarding sports. Your favorite sports team, your favorite player, discuss pre-games, post-games, all games. Let's talk. Orientation is required. Interested applicants must contact the podcast center at gmail.com or call 901-468-3097. That's the podcast center at gmail.com or 901-468-3097. Amateur and professional talk show hosts encouraged to apply.
Required orientation is Saturday, April 13th, or you can take it online.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Johnny Hill producing as always on this Wednesday afternoon. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours and plenty of news, plenty of things to get to today. We'll try to cover as much of it as we can. We had a big trade in the NFL this morning. We talked a lot yesterday about Ryan Silverfield's new contract, but we have more information about that. The details have come out. Jonah Dillon doing a great job reporting on that story earlier this afternoon. We also have breaking news with Ja Morant that has just come out within the last hour. Not much information on that, but a lot to get to. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing well. Two baseball games already postponed for tonight, and already two finals. Cardinals getting ready to get going. And with a Cardinal win would top last year's high water mark of over 500.
Yeah. So
it won over 500.
Another good win for them last night. And, a lot of day baseball today, afternoon baseball. But you're right. Already weather playing a big factor today. I believe 2 games postponed, and then Royals and Orioles was in a delay. I don't have an update on that, but it was certainly backed up a little bit because of weather. So weather playing a big role in Major League Baseball this afternoon.
Reds Phillies as well. Yeah, it's really it looked cold at some places yesterday and last night. And there were a couple of games going that I couldn't believe hadn't been stopped. Not the problem for the Cardinals out in San Diego, though.
Yeah, no, it's sunny San Diego, and they got to wrap that up this afternoon and get back home to host the Marlins starting tomorrow. So
best or worst local weather job in the country in San Diego? Is it the best or the worst?
Best. Why not? I mean, San Diego.
Yeah, but you don't get to play with all your toys, your 5 live Dopplers and
Brett, you
and
find
the wind shear toy.
You find a way to play with the
toys. Oh, you do.
I mean, see, here's the thing.
How do you scare your public with we're getting ready to get hit by the big one, bridges and overpasses?
But maybe you don't
think of all the things.
How nice would it be, though? I mean, if we want to admit it or not, we have all had that moment. Probably some people weekly, some people monthly, some people yearly. Weather people, they don't know what they're talking about. They never know what they're talking about. When you're in San Diego, you can just say, sunny, beautiful day outside in San Diego.
Copy and paste.
It sounds like an easy job to me. I mean, it sounds like a good weather person job to have.
All right, so you know about programming shows. You had never done TV, but you know about you do 3 hours every day. On this show, you do 2 hours every day with John. A lot of other hours, other places of scheduling. And you're like, so let's say that 30-minute. I don't even know what time. Do they have 6 o'clock news on the West Coast? I don't know. Do you realize we're the only people in the Central Time Zone that do the 10 o'clock news. Even on the left coast, they do the 11 o'clock news.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And East Coast, of course they do. That's when they go to 5 live Dopplers there and all the theatrics. Huh. So if you're programming that 30-minute, let's say 6 o'clock news, if they do that, how much time would you give the weather in San Diego?
That's a good question. Well, and that's a good point because, I mean, in a place like San Diego, you probably don't get as much time, and that's probably not great when you're the weatherman or the weatherwoman.
30 seconds.
I mean, it's got to be pretty quick. I mean, you're not talking about any big torrential
Not the
downpours.
19 minutes they get here.
No,
kid.
It's probably much shorter. I don't think they get as much.
Same as yesterday. Back to you, Bob.
Right, that's right. That's sunny as always.
Shouldn't that catch it?
I mean, that seems about it.
Let's go to the NexRad, NORAD, Save Our Lives Weather Center. Joe, what do you got? Nothing. Same as yesterday.
Same. Copy and paste from yesterday and send it back.
Proceed with the next story.
Sounds like good job to me. I don't know. I'd take it.
Really would be. Yeah. So I wonder if local sports gets more time because of it.
Good question. I don't know. Certainly.
And just one major league team in San Diego, the Padres.
That's a good point. But certainly right now, this time, plenty to talk about with the Padres with the season starting. So,
yeah.
Hey, you never know. Maybe. I don't know.
I'll feel really good about a Cardinal 4-3 start. Won't feel that bad about 3-4.
No, I think it's been with who they've had to play these first two series, Padres good team, but then also you have to start the season against the Dodgers. I mean, that's like the worst case scenario to start a season against.
But as I said, at least it's over with.
That's right. And I thought
next time go back to LA will be for the NLCS.
That's right. And so you're competitive against the Dodgers. Now you're looking really good against San Diego. So yeah, I mean, I think you're either way. I'm happy with what happens this afternoon, and then come home and against a Marlins team that is really struggling and was down big. I think 8-2 last time I saw earlier this afternoon when I was watching it to the Angels. So, a really struggling Marlins team coming into St. Louis. It should be a fun weekend.
Rangers already defeated the Rays 4-1. Angels 10-2 over the Marlins.
Wow, holy cow.
That's final 0 up, 7 down for the Marlins.
Yeah, it's been a rough start. See, I don't think many people
took a while for water to find its level with Skippy Schumacher, but it's finding it.
Man, that's tough. I really do hate that for them.
That is tough. Twinks on top of the Brewers. Brewers trying to stay undefeated, but they trail 6-3 in top of the ninth.
Wow, that's been a big comeback. I think it was when I turned on, I think 2-0 and then 3-0.
Twinks got 5 in the top of the 7.
Holy cow! Wow, interesting. So yeah, a lot of baseball, a lot of noon starts today. Like you mentioned, Cardinals and a handful of other teams about to go here at 3:00. So it's one of those days. Not a lot of night baseball tonight.
No, it's not. But everybody was scheduled to go today. But we've already had a lot of rainouts and a couple finals into the night. The Grizzlies next to the last rodeo of the year.
That's right, and they'll go tonight against the Bucks, and a Bucks team that coming off a loss against the Wizards. Which,
going for the sweep of the Bucks.
That's a great point. I completely forgot about that.
Win of the year.
That's right.
Against the Bucks. That was fun atmosphere this year.
Was.
Far as bad as this year's been. Mm-hmm. There are many things to have hope for.
Certainly. There's been
biggest, almost impossible to be this unlucky again with injury next year.
You would hope.
Oh, man. I wish I'd have never said that.
Oh, man. You would hope. But, I mean, I think that what you've gotten out of Vince and Gigi has been big, and there have been some fun moments like
you have 4 stars on opening day of training camp. Mm-hmm. Josh, Aaron, Payne, Smart. Mm-hmm. You know that. Mm-hmm. You know you have a solid coach.
Yeah.
You know you have fans that have finally gotten either Ja Mania or Grizzlies Mania. Mm-hmm. These crowds have held up all year through this. Yeah, I know in this last stretch there have been some lesser crowds. I went to the Charlotte game. It was lean. It was Charlotte. I mean, they just announced their coach is not back next year.
Yeah.
But, it was Charlotte on the 13th of March. I don't know what crowds are going to be like. I know it probably won't be great Friday night against Detroit. I don't know what it'll be like the rest of the year. It won't be like that the next time for the Lakers like it was last time. But still some things to be happy about. I've hit on it a couple of times, and I'm not going to let go of it. 17-22 this year on the road. Mm-hmm. Two left. Let's say they split. Let's say they don't. Let's say it's 17-24.
All right.
You give me 17 and 24 next year on the road and come back healthy and give me a 32 and 9 at home. That's 49 wins. That's one shy of a really big number in the NBA.
Sure. Well, and that's kind of the big thing with these young guys, specifically Vince and Gigi, and maybe a couple other guys that you're going to lean on as rotation pieces next year and in the future. I mean, it's hard to win on the road in the NBA, and they're already learning how to win on the road. And so to be able to get that this season, when you're healthy next year, you're going to improve on that. And so you're right. I think that is massive going into next year.
What's the player that doesn't return next year? And it won't be a star.
Sure.
It could be, but I don't think it will be. But just among kind of Grizz fam, those lovable players that they fall so hard for that will cause the most outrage of they cut loose of fill in the blank.
Oh, geez. I don't know.
Kennard, Laravia, Zaire.
I mean, honestly, I've seen too much of people wanting to get rid of
Conchar?
those guys. So, I mean, maybe not as much
you have?
Kennard. Yeah, I mean, but those other guys, I don't think anybody.
There's nobody out there fighting for Conchar anymore?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so, Brett.
Really?
Yeah,
It might be over.
I think Conchar is just out there to a lot of people.
Yeah, he is.
So, I don't know.
Is that right? I don't. What's happened to people?
Well,
That was my original love for him.
say, I mean,
people fighting over him like he was
leave your jersey
Julius
in the-
Irving.
Yeah, leave your jersey in the closet, Brett.
I
mean,
know.
it's-
What will I do with it?
I think if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Kennard. But no, I really don't think anybody is too tied to any of those guys on this roster right now. I mean,
Ready
certainly
for
the stars.
separation from him?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd say ready for separation. Some of them. I mean, Jake Laravia. I think some people are ready to be done with that.
The first time I kind of got on this tangent was when they were wanting to move on from Dante Cunningham, and there was outrage. Really
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there will be some people that if and when they part ways with one of these guys, they're outraged by it. But I don't think it's going to be the majority of people. But yeah,
that's good.
No, that is good. That's great. And then speaking of the Grizzlies, breaking news. About an hour ago, Woj tweeted it out. Ja Morant and his longtime agent, Jim Tanner, have parted ways. Sources tell ESPN Tanner has represented Morant since coming out of Murray State as the number 2 overall prospect in the 2019 NBA draft. No real information about why it happened, how it happened, any of that. But it is notable that Ja Morant will be looking to get another agent.
For $1,000 with 1,000 guesses, could you have guessed Jim Tanner was the representative of Ja Morant? Nor could I.
No. I would have
10,000,
yeah,
100,000.
I say you could put all.
I would have said Ray Tanner.
Yeah,
former member of Congress Ray Tanner was his agent before I would have Jim Tanner.
No.
Wonder if they're any kin. They were kind of up there near the Tennessee-Kentucky state line.
Maybe, who knows?
I don't know. Jimmy Tanner. Well, hate it for him.
Yeah, hate it for him. But
3% of that big pile of cash.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about Jim Tanner. I don't know if he represents any other NBA guys.
I don't either.
Guys
I don't know one thing.
No, I don't
he
know.
could walk in the studio right now and I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know him. But interesting news there nonetheless. We talked yesterday about the Ryan Silverfield new contract and didn't have much information about it, didn't really know any of the details. But Jonah Dillon earlier today reporting for the Commercial Appeal had more information on Ryan Silverfield's contract. Here are some of the nuggets from it. If the Tigers win 9 or more regular season games in any season during the contract, Silverfield will get a $100,000 raise and have the deal extended for 1 season.
Take it to the bank next year.
I love it. And take that to the bank, but certainly take this to the bank. If Memphis wins 10 regular season games and goes to the conference championship game, he'll get a $250,000 raise and 2 more years on his deal. Now, the 1 year for 9 wins, that can continue every time he wins 9 games. That 10 game is only a one-time thing. So if he goes out and wins 10 games this upcoming season, they add 2 years. If he returns and goes out and wins 10 more games that next year, 2 more years will not be added. Again, that's only a one-time thing. But interesting, also his assistant salary pool grows. It was $3 million on his last deal, now $4.15 million, which is
in the building.
Huge.
That's the biggest part of this contract that I've heard so far.
Yeah, no, that is huge. And to get those assistants, get those guys around him, that is definitely big. And to be that much is certainly big. It will also be raised $100,000 each season. So another big nugget there that will increase as long as he's the head coach. We talked buyout yesterday. If Silverfield leaves for another job on or before December 31st, 2024, he would owe Memphis $1.5 million.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. That decreases to $1 million after December 31st, 2025, $750,000 December 31st, 2026, and $500,000 after or on December 31st, 2027.
That's great reporting. I love everything I'm hearing.
No, it sounds like a great
good
deal
job, John.
all around. And,
great job.
It's certainly those details are important, but I love this on all accounts.
Coaching carousel next year. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it'll move it up. If you kind of know you need to make a change, but your potential pool of coaches, because remember, we're going to have 12 teams in the playoffs. Right. I'm going to say of those 12 teams, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 in that most years that might be looking to parlay that into something else. Mm-hmm. That could be Ryan Silverfield.
Sure.
That could be people coming after Lane Kiffin. That could be people coming after Eli Drinkwitz. That could be people coming after potentially NC State, and they are the ACC rep, things like that.
Sure.
Well, if you're in the playoffs this coming year, they don't start until that weekend of the 21st. One game on Friday the 20th and the other games on the 21st. No coach is going to leave that place during that.
Yeah, no.
They may tell them, hey, if I lose, I'll take it.
Right.
Tell their agent to tell them that. If I lose, I'll be a little more interested. But right now, I got a team to coach. Mm-hmm. If you win that weekend and then you're in the Elite Eight that will be played around, incorporated into the bowls around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, nobody's going to wait that long for you.
No, because I mean you gotta go out there and start
portal and signing date.
Exactly, and so that's a really good point. So it could be a weird coaching carousel season next year in college football. I haven't even really thought about that.
And nobody's going to be that willing to wait.
No.
So they may not want to be stuck with who they had,
sure,
but they may not be able to wait on one of those playoff coaches.
Right.
And I bring it up about Ryan Silverfield, but also, Florida's just convinced if they move on from Billy Napier, they'll get Lane Kiffin. Just first offer, they'll get him. He's not leaving in the middle of the playoffs, and he's sure not leaving if he's advancing and they're not waiting.
No. I mean, that's just silly. So it's going to be.
You don't scale Mount Everest and get about a mile from the top and go, nope. I've gone far enough. Yeah. I'm not going all the way. I'm taking the Florida job. Nobody does that.
No. I mean, that'd be like
you get beat that first weekend,
sure,
then that next week is a lot of angst for a lot of people.
They'd be like Nate Oates in the middle of this tournament run, being like,
great
"Oh,
point.
Louisville's open. Louisville wants me. I'll go coach Louisville." I mean, that's crazy. That would never happen.
That's it.
So that is interesting.
Center of the bullseye.
Yeah, so that's very interesting and definitely something to keep an eye on as college football continues to evolve and change. But a lot to get to today. We got some great guests set up as well. So let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Pat Smith from Jocks in
Pat
Birmingham.
Smith 2 weeks in a row, and it's not football season?
It's not football season, Brett. And last week,
is that allowed?
Well, last week I think we went over our 7% of basketball talk with him. No promises that we don't go over it again today. But with what Alabama's doing in college basketball, you got to talk Bama hoops, and nobody better to talk them with than Pat Smith. So we'll do that in the next segment at 3:30. 3:45, Grizzlies, they're back in action tonight against the Bucks. We'll talk a little bit about that as the season continues to wind down for the Grizzlies. 4 o'clock, Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14. He'll join us, talk college basketball. A lot of talk on the Alabama-UConn game with Alabama, the lone SEC team standing. But we'll also talk the offseason for the SEC, what this transfer portal looks like, coaching, all of that stuff with Blake Lovell at 4 o'clock. 4:30, we'll talk baseball. A lot of early games today as series are starting tomorrow or travel days tomorrow. We're getting a lot of afternoon games, midday games today. So we'll have a ton of finals at 4:30 when we talk baseball. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney will join us, talk more college basketball. A lot to get with him as well with the Final Four set. Those games will be Saturday evening. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending at 5:45. We'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over to Family Leisure for factory direct pricing on swimming pools, spas, and patio furniture. It's patio season. Come by Family Leisure and check out the new 2024 patio furniture sets. Pool season will be here before we know it. Buy now and get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Save $1,000 to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Also, special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and outdoor kitchens. Only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Bracket Champion Johnny Hill. This is Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of it at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text line, phone line, and all our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500. You'll be looking, you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, we talked about it already, but the details of Ryan Silverfield's contract have come out again. Shout out to Jonah Dillon doing a great job at the commercial appeal, getting all of these details from the contract. But ultimately, I think it's a win-win for both sides. Obviously, Ryan Silverfield gets that kind of promise from the university that they're all in on him with this extension and with all of the excitement around this program going into next year. After what he did last season, a really good season, capped off with a Liberty Bowl victory over Iowa State. To parlay
10
that
wins.
into, it was a great season. To parlay that into this new contract is definitely huge, but also for him to be able to get these raises and these incentives on 9-win season, 10-win seasons, but then also for the university to have a buyout in there if Ryan Silverfield has another really good year, if he wins the conference championship and goes to the college football playoffs, which a lot of people think could be the case this year. That's kind of what a lot of people are hoping for the Tigers this year, that if he does do that and ends up leaving for another job, that $1.5 million I think is huge to get that. Also, Brett, you pointed this out that this is really big, but the assistant pool, that money going up so that Ryan Silverfield can continue to go out
security
and bring
for his assistants.
Security, and to go out and bring in these high-level assistant coaches to make this team better and also, give them that stability to be at a program like Memphis. So I think overall a complete win-win for both Ryan Silverfield and for the Tiger football program, and I think just builds the excitement for what next season could be.
My top story, also area coaching news. It sounds like Eric Musselman will take the USC job. Arkansas losing a coach to USC and the Big Ten. I don't ever remember that happening. And most think Arkansas will center on Chris Beard, who's now at Ole Miss. Arkansas almost hired Tommy Tuberville, Senator Tuberville, back in the day in 1997 to be football coach. He didn't. He stayed at Ole Miss. He said on these airwaves, he said, I'm a rebel for one more year. And then he was at Auburn. Ole Miss did hire Houston Nutt after he was fired at Arkansas in November of 2007. And it enraged Arkansas fans that he had the nerve to take a job after they fired him and go to Ole Miss. I hadn't figured that one out yet. I mean, absolutely enraged. And Arkansas was trying to get Lane Kiffin when Ole Miss got him. And now in basketball, first time I ever remember kind of crossing swords in basketball for these two. So we will see if Chris Beard stays at Ole Miss or if Eric Musselman stays at Arkansas. It sure doesn't sound like he will. The last time Arkansas had a basketball coach leave for another job, not being fired or retiring, was, I don't really remember retirement, was Eddie Sutton when he famously said he would crawl to Kentucky. The last time in football for not being fired or retired, and I don't remember a retired, well, Coach Broyles, was Ken Hatfield leaving for Clemson. It's rare for Arkansas to lose a coach if they want to keep him.
It sure is.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's the big news out of the NFL. The Bills trade Stephon Diggs to the Texans for a 2025 second-round pick, a 2024 sixth-round pick, and a 2025 fifth-round pick. Again, I thought it was a win-win on the contract for Ryan Surfer. I think this is probably a win-win for both sides when it comes to the Bills and the Texans. For the Texans, last year with C.J. Stroud at quarterback in year one, I don't think anybody expected them to do what they did last year with DeMeco Ryans as a first-year head coach, but they go out there and surprise everyone, and really the story of the season, or one of the stories of the season in the NFL last year, and now you give him a surefire number one receiver in Stephon Diggs. And for the Bills, it really sounds like, and I'm sure we'll get more and more stories, but you saw the kind of drama with Stephon Diggs and that organization over the last couple of years. And I was reading some stuff earlier today that sounds like a lot of those players, some maybe even key players, were kind of tired of the drama and tired of Stephon Diggs.
And he had the drop in the playoffs.
He did. And so I think for the Bills, they kind of plateaued. It feels like the past 2 or 3 years we've been talking about this could be the year the Bills get through and make it to the Super Bowl, and they haven't been able to. So maybe a change to that starting lineup maybe might not be the worst of things. So I think could be a win-win for both sides.
My not top story, you see stadium funding issues really a lot of places, always in the Bay Area. In Oakland with what to do with the A's. Are they going to Sacramento? Will they play a split season in Salt Lake City? When will they finally get to Vegas? And what Vegas has got on the books for them potentially at some point. In the county in Kansas City yesterday, the voters, by a vote, referendum, they voted down tax increases that would have led to a new Royal Stadium downtown and a lot of improvements, basically a rebuild of Arrowhead Stadium. Not exactly apples to apples for what we have here with stadium issue, because it's no vote and it's no tax increase. This is government surplus. The state of Tennessee doing so well, and after spending on the Titans, committing to the Titans, West Tennessee, Shelby County, Memphis said, hey, what about us? And that's what the Grizzlies and Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium are getting in line over. You can have that whole debate about if there's a government surplus, why don't we get a refund check? But instead they see the best use of that money, instead of cutting a refund check to everybody that pays state. Well, there's no state income tax in Tennessee. There's no state income tax in Tennessee. There's federal tax everywhere. No state income tax. But instead of doing that, they think they can make more money by spending it on this, and I think they can too. You can have that debate all you want. I don't know what a referendum, how that vote would have looked here locally. It's hard to win those, whether it's a school millage or an eighth of a cent or 3/8 of a cent, whatever it is. Most people don't want to just voluntarily raise their taxes on themselves. So it's not exactly the same situation as in Kansas City.
No, it's not. But hopefully they get it all figured out, and we can see those upgrades coming soon here in Memphis. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking Alabama with Pat Smith from Jocks.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Hernando, Little Rock, and Cleveland, Mississippi specializes in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
If you've tried to buy a Rolex watch lately, you know how difficult it is. New models are in rare supply. Some jewelers put you on wait lists. Others make you buy their other jewelry at inflated prices just to be considered for a Rolex purchase. Well, that's all changed now that Genesis Diamonds has arrived. Genesis Diamonds is the premier dealer of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. People who come in are shocked to see Daytonas, Hulks, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejusts, all the hard-to-find Rolex watches ready to wear today. At Genesis, we've used our worldwide connections to find only the first luxury pre-owned Rolexes, immaculate, pristine watches, fairly priced with no strings attached, and with flexible financing options. So enough with the wait list and the retail jeweler games. Get the Rolex of your dreams today at Genesis Diamonds. And if you already have a Rolex and are interested in trading up, we also have Rolex buyers on site every day. Just another example of how we're forever changing the jewelry landscape here. Genesis Diamonds, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. The police are sorting out a couple of earlier accidents. Actually, it's moving fairly decent down through South Haven at the moment, south of Memphis on 55 as you head on down into DeSoto County. Now, it's already a little bit slow over here on 240 East as you come past Billmore's Parkway, working your way up towards Poplar. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and joining us now from Jocks down in Birmingham, Pat Smith joins us now on the Sissy's Log Cabin phone line. Pat, thanks so much for joining us. And here they are, Alabama in the Final Four. Last week when we talked to you, they had to get past North Carolina. After that, they had to get through Clemson. What has this week been like at Jocks with the reaction to Alabama making it to the Final Four?
Well, we know what the rest of college football felt like all those years when Alabama was like a 20, 30-point favorite over someone. And you would have people on the show, and they'd say, well, you know, if Alabama got to the fourth quarter and this team is one score down, Alabama's never played a close game, so just maybe they won't know how to react. Well, basically that's the conversation we're having this week, which is UConn is such a machine, and they're a 12-point favorite over Alabama. Bama fans are saying, hey, maybe we can get to the under 4 timeout in the second half, and maybe we can be within striking distance. That's the kind of conversation we're having. So, Brett, we knew what these football fans over the years have been feeling like with the Nick Saban machine.
Well, welcome to the rest of our world. I remember 2017 with little Shea Patterson at quarterback for Ole Miss, and it was 66-3. And our post-game play of the game was the field goal we made for Ole Miss against Alabama, and that's what it feels like, a tall mountain. But let's talk about the fun, Pat. I've imagined, of course, kind of in this scenario, if this person doesn't exist, but if they did, they would have more things to worry about than maybe talk radio. But just imagine the person that may have had that health issue, that accident around January 8th. And they came to this week, and Nick Saban's retired and Alabama's in the Final Four in basketball. When they turn on Jocks, they got to be thinking, what in the world's happened to my life while I've been incapacitated?
Oh, there is no doubt about it. I mean, they would be absolutely going, excuse me, what has just happened here with Nick Saban retiring and Nate Oates now taking a team to the Final Four? Now, listen, it has been crazy. It's very interesting because earlier this week we asked a poll question to our listeners. We're kind of infamous for these crazy pondering type questions.
Pat Ponders, hashtag.
Yeah, that's right, hashtag Pat Ponders. So the thing of it is that with an Alabama fan, and we always had over 1,000 people vote on this. If you're an Alabama fan, would you bypass or sacrifice 3 football seasons of not making the college football playoff for one national championship in basketball? And for the most of the day, guys, it was running about 51-49 yes, that they would give up 3 years of football dominance for one college football men's basketball championship. I'm happy to report by the end of the program, people came to their senses and they decided that was not that's blasphemy. That's I don't even know. That must have been Auburn fans voting in the poll, because there's not an Alabama fan alive that would give up 3 seasons for a basketball championship. No way.
Pat, I was already a little bit rocked by the state of Alabama's voting patterns with Senator Tuberville. This was really about to scare me.
Hey, listen. Hey, between Katie Britt and Coach Tuberville being our senators, man, you never know what you're going to get up there. That's for sure.
Katie Britt looks like Daniel Webster compared to Senator Tuberville.
There's no doubt about that. She did a great job after the State of the Union, no doubt.
And I love her husband.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So for Alabama over these past couple of games, really most of the tournament, it's been a lot of guys stepping up. Obviously, Mark Sears has been kind of the star of this team, but a couple games ago, it was Grant Nelson who stepped up. Nick Pringle has stepped up and had big-time performances. I mean, what have you seen from this Alabama team? Because, you see this a lot where it's, when it comes to the teams playing team basketball and a different guy kind of stepping up and getting the job done, that's really the teams that find success in March. What has stood out to you about these wins over the last couple of weeks for Alabama?
It is those B players, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the second round when Mo Diabate, who had Diabate on your Alabama bingo card, he came off the bench and he was highly successful, leading them to a victory. And then, of course, the Sweet 16, you mentioned Grant Nelson. Grant Nelson was the big pickup in the transfer portal last year. And let's just be honest, during the regular season, he went MIA for most of the season, but he showed up big against North Carolina. And then you had Jaron Stevenson. Great story with Stevenson. Stevenson reclassified. He's supposed to be going to a senior prom this year in Chapel Hill. But instead, Nate Oates was able to talk him into reclassifying, coming to Alabama, and then he nails 19 points against Clemson the other night. So they're going to need that type of support. It can't be Mark Sears all the time. Mark Sears is going to get us 21, 22, 23 points a game, but you have got to have those guys. And you mentioned Nick Pringle. He's been huge. The good news is that all indications are that Reitzel is going to be back. He's been held out of the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 because of a head injury. He was their number 1 3-point shooter on the season. They hope to have him back in Phoenix. He's been practicing. That would be huge for them. But you're right. To me, it's those bit players. It's the guys that, the 6-7 guys off the rotation that's been so big for them down the stretch. Because without them, they would not be in the position they are to set a historic standard at Alabama, an era in which they've never been before.
Pat, helps. Here's the Pat Ponders. Helps, hurts, or no big deal. Kalen DeBoer. If Nate Oates going to the Final Four, of course, winning it, people will be, just over the moon. But even this run, a little deflection, maybe turning that pressure valve down a little bit. Does it help the new coach that 0-0 hurts or no big deal?
I think it helps tremendously because, listen, we all concentrate on football. People are still going to the open practices when they have a chance. They're still attending press conferences. We're still talking about it on the show, even though we've got the Final Four that's dominating the conversation. It is the perfect storm for Kalen DeBoer. He comes in, he gets his feet wet, he's getting acclimated to the surroundings. Listen, he's going to have enough of the magnifying glass on him once football season ends. For Alabama fans,
that ain't a magnifying glass.
yeah. It's the Hubble telescope.
That's the other end.
You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is. And so, I think it's been good because he's able to kind of come in here and listen. The number of interviews that he has done, not only with local radio, but you see him on social media, whether it was Andy Staples, J.D. Piquel, Josh Pate, all these guys, they have been coming in and flocking into Tuscaloosa doing these sit-downs because we've never had this before, because Nick Saban would do his Chris Lowe's or he'd sit down with a Herb Street or somebody like that. But for the most part, Nick just didn't do that, didn't feel like the need was there. But now Kalen DeBoer understands that, I need this relationship with these folks. I need to build some equity into this program with these relationships. And I think with basketball kind of taking some of that, that highlight off of what he is trying to do with him and his staff, I think that will pay dividends for him in the long run.
What has Alabama spring football practice been like this year with the coaching change? Obviously, things going different. How's it been? What are some of the storylines that you're seeing that you're liking out of camp?
Well, so far, Jalen Milroe has fully accepted the playbook. They're excited. You think about this. I mean, they loved what they did with Michael Penix at Washington, but Penix did not run the football. And when you have an athlete like Jalen Milroe back there and you have a run-pass option, and that you can do the things and you can kind of enhance that playbook that you brought to Tuscaloosa from Seattle, that just makes them salivate even more of what kind of offensive numbers that they can put up. But the thing that I've been the most impressed with in regards to the people that I talk to, whether it's players or whether it's people that's been able to be around that program during spring practice, it's the kids, not that they didn't have fun, because we all know that the fun is in the winning in Tuscaloosa, but it's the fact that the players, it always had the NFL feel when you went to Tuscaloosa, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they're playing music at practice. The coaches are cutting up, and it's this one-on-one interaction with the players that, they had it with Nick Saban, but it was more businesslike, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a breath of fresh air, I should say. And the kids are really acclimating to it, and they're enjoying it. And the defense looks better than what a lot of people thought it was going to look. I do believe that they're going to be very, I guess they're going to be active pretty strong here at the end of the month in the transfer portal. They're going to be guys that's going to leave that's just not going to mesh with the new coaching staff. It happens everywhere. But I think Alabama is going to be able to go out and pretty much get whoever they need or believe they think they're going to need for their depth on the roster management portion of things. But it looks really, really good in the spring. I know it's spring, guys, but for the turnover and for everybody claiming that the program was dead and they would be lucky to play football in the fall, this Alabama team looks like they're going to be primed to be one of the upper echelon in the SEC.
Yeah, and it's no better time than to be 0-0, but it is off to a really good start for him. A great hire, universally endorsed as a great hire by Greg Byrne with the consultation of Coach Nick Saban for Kalen DeBoer. But Pat, you know it as well as anyone. You can have all the music, and you can have all the air of good feeling and breath of fresh air and all this fun stuff. And he's been in big games. I'm not saying he's going to be unaccustomed to that. But that feeling from Tuesday on, Georgia week, he hadn't had that big Super Bowl week in Tuscaloosa yet. That's when he'll know all week long, when he sees it building around campus. Game day will be there. Everything will be there. And that Saturday night at Bryant-Denny, that will feel like a Super Bowl.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it will be off the chain. I know he played for a national championship against Michigan in Houston, but what he's going to have in Tuscaloosa. And listen, a lot of people hope that, A-Day game will be packed, and it will be, 60, 70,000 people. May not be the 90 or the 100,000 that Nick Saban drew a couple times, but, I think it's going to turn his head a little bit. Listen, folks were excited when Gene Stallings was hired back in 1990, and he started losing his first 3 games before he kind of got that thing turned around. Nick Saban was around a 500 coach his first year in Tuscaloosa, and I remember being on the radio daily, and people was wondering if this guy, I know he had some success at LSU, but he just left the NFL. Is he going to be able to hang here in Tuscaloosa and get this thing turned around? So it's inevitable. Folks are going to wonder. They're going to question. Let's just hope that he goes to Madison, Wisconsin, and beats Wisconsin, because if he doesn't do that, guys, it might be a kind of a delicate situation in year one.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Pat, real quick. We're out of time, but what happens Saturday night for Alabama? Is it a close game? Can they pull the upset? What happens against UConn?
I think, guys, it is going to be inside the number. It's currently 12-point favorite for UConn. I think Alabama is going to try to get out. They're going to try to run, something that UConn doesn't do a lot of. Also, UConn not very successful shooting the three. But you know what? When you're successful everywhere else within that three-point arc, it really doesn't matter. I think Alabama is going to make this a second-half ball game, but Connecticut's got too many horses, I'm afraid. I think the Huskies will end Alabama's season on Saturday.
Second half to what minute mark? At the 8-minute TV timeout, is it a game?
I would say 10 minutes.
Okay.
I would like for it to be inside 8, but I think by the 10-minute mark, I think it will pretty much will be, at that point, it'll be handled.
Pat, that's how we used to talk about Wooden and people playing UCLA.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's crazy. But one thing's for sure, Brett, we have dusted off the Jimmy Valvano beating Phi Slamma Jamma. We have, dusted off the Raleigh Massimino beating Georgetown. I mean, we're trying to pull out every Cinderella basketball story we could find, but this UConn team, man, you're not going to find too many holes in that armor. So maybe Alabama can strike gold.
Oh, it should be fun to watch Saturday night. But Pat, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Pat Smith from Jocks. He joins us down in Birmingham to talk Alabama, and perfect time to talk about him with Alabama getting ready to face UConn in the Final Four.
That's a win. You get to 10-minute mark, isn't it?
Absolutely. With how UConn's been playing this entire tournament, if you're in the game in the second half, that's a massive win.
Brian, on these airwaves, I talked about the first week or so of bowl prep for Notre Dame, the year they met Alabama in the BCS National Championship game down in Miami, and that was the Barrett Jones team, and they just annihilated undefeated Notre Dame team. And I said that year that Brian Kelly and that staff had to watch for and game plan for a week and realize we have no hope. There's nothing we can run. I even suggested at that time with Everett Golson maybe putting in the triple option and trying to just sneak attack them. You can't run your real stuff. That's what Saturday feels like. When Pat was saying maybe run with them, we both were shaking our head. No.
And then
don't try that.
And then he talked about the three-point shooting and said, well, I mean, when you're great at everything else,
don't try that either.
Three-point shooting. I mean, this team, I said it yesterday. I mean, this is one of the more dominant basketball teams I've seen. And,
there's no approach for them.
There's not. I mean, they can beat you in so many different ways. They can play so many different ways. They can run their offense through so many different guys that, I mean,
and you can't come out and let the air out of the ball because of the shot clock.
No, and I mean, I go back to what David Cobb on Monday brought up a really good point of, you look at this team and there's no surefire first-team All-American in the starting lineup, but they have just so many good pieces that they put together to make them so dominant. I mean, they're just so much fun to watch, and I mean, I don't have a good feeling for Alabama this weekend. Maybe in a little bit when we talk to
now they know how Notre Dame felt.
That's right. Well, they know how a lot of teams have felt when facing Alabama football. But let's go ahead and get to a break. Grizzlies, they're back in action tonight against the Bucks. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, serving the official barbecue of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Is your home screaming for an upgrade? Listen closely because Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is about to make your day. First up, say goodbye to cold showers and hello to endless hot water with our tankless water heater upgrade. Not only does it save space and energy, but it also keeps the hot water flowing exactly when you need it. And here's the kicker. Switch from your old tank to a sleek, efficient tankless water heater now, and Choate's will hand you a $500 credit. Yep, you heard that right. $500 back in your pocket. But wait, there's more. Clogged drains are a hassle no homeowner wants to deal with. With Choate's special offer, get your drains cleared for just $93 or it's absolutely free. That's our guarantee to make it drain or you don't pay a dime. So why wait? Call Choate's today at 347-8086 or visit us online at choateshvac.com. And remember, Choate's, let our family serve your family.
Are you someone who tries to drive while distracted by your phone? Someone who props it on the steering wheel or peeks down at it for a glance? Or just scrolls and scrolls? If so, you could be the next person to get into a fender bender, get a ticket, veer off the road, or even cause a crash that kills you or someone else. Enough already. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better? I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, the Grizzlies, they're back in action tonight up in Milwaukee against the Bucks. I had completely forgotten earlier in the season the last game before All-Star break, nationally televised game for the Grizzlies against the Bucks. A big win for them, probably win of the year for them. But they're now in Milwaukee tonight for a game against the Bucks, and you know, season winding down. One of the last road games they'll play of the season, and we've said it, but I think most all of Grizzly fans are just counting down the games until we get to the off season.
Yeah, get to the finish line. No more injuries, please. No more injuries. Enough of that. And you just wonder, will Giannis go tonight?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I have not seen.
And why would he?
The other. Yeah, it's good question. I don't know, but he might. But I sure hope not. Well, I don't know what I hope because we,
I don't either.
In the
that
business
limbo
of wanting losses. So one of those weird games. Actually, I do want Giannis to play. Giannis, let's see you out there tonight.
That was the fun night of the year, way back in February, to beat them, and they were going for it. Remember, that was the game where that afternoon it appeared he wasn't going to play.
That's right.
And I don't know if the league called or what, but he was in there.
Yeah, I think. Was there someone else that also wasn't supposed to play that either played or didn't play and instead of Giannis? Because I remember, I think it was.
I don't recall.
I think it might have been like at least two guys that were game
When I got to the building at night, he was not going, and then very ever present in the lineup.
That's right, yeah, and because that was I remember. I think Jonah Dillon. We talked about him earlier. I think he posted a picture 30 minutes before the game of Giannis out there warming up, getting shots up, and saying like, "Hey, looks like he's playing." And that was a fun night. But right now, Milwaukee a 12.5 point favorite against the Grizzlies. I don't think it's going to be as fun tonight.
I said earlier I would take this road record next year.
Yep.
In a good year, I'd take this road record. Something else this time next year. You get to this point in the year and give me the stretch of Orlando, Detroit, Milwaukee, Detroit, and Philly. Let me play the East at this point in the year next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's just it gets so tight in the West and all of these dominant teams all trying to win games and get in position. And we were looking at the standings for both sides earlier today, and, man, I mean, it's going to be a fun run. But, yeah, if you can get something like this next year, that'd be nice.
This was the point in the schedule where, you had when you had playoff hopes, aspirations that you thought, get to this point, and Lakers kind of checked out, Denver checked out, and you play these East teams and you maybe move up a seed line. Well, best laid plans.
Yeah. A lot has changed since the start of the season, unfortunately, for the Grizzlies. But, hey, only a handful of games left, and then we'll be talking offseason. We'll be talking roster moves, who returns, who doesn't return, and the biggest thing, the NBA draft I saw most recently, it looks like most mock drafts have the Grizzlies taking Donovan Clingan, the big man from UConn, with their first pick. I think 7 right now is where they're projected. So, getting a center in here. I know some people are for that. Some people would rather them not go the center route for the NBA draft and bring in someone so young that you're going to have to rely on. But it'll be interesting to see which way this front office goes.
It will be hotly debated, and it will simply be settled by performance.
Sure.
If it's Clingan and he works, then that side was right, and if it doesn't, then
that's right.
That wasn't good.
Yeah, it's the game we play when it comes to the draft. It's all about results, and so we'll see. But certainly going to be interesting to see all the moves, everything that happens with this team, what they do with guys currently on the roster, and then what they do with that pick, because there's still some speculation out there of the Grizzlies moving that pick and trading it away. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour, get to a break, and when we come back, talking more SEC basketball with Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time, free gun rentals with purchase of ammo, and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Witten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Professional football is back as your Memphis Showboats have 5 home games this season, starting with the home opener on Saturday, April 6th at 11 a.m. The Showboats are coming off a strong first year and have added a ton of firepower to the offense, highlighted by quarterback Case Cookus, the 2022 Player of the Year, and the return of fan favorite Vinny Papali. Let's make Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium the best home field advantage of the UFL. For tickets, visit theufl.com. That's theufl.com. Go Boats!
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's building pretty good now in the Midtown area. Pretty much on schedule over here on 40 up by Chelsea. 240 as you come out of the Midtown area that way southbound from Union down to Norris. That looks pretty good at the moment. Now it is slow and it has been for a while already over here on this side of town on 240 East passing Bill Morris headed up towards Poplar. Weimer's Jewelry, they're located 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full service family owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now on the Sissy's Log Cabin phone line, Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14 joins us now. Talk some SEC basketball. Blake, thanks so much for joining us. One SEC team left standing in the Final Four. It's Alabama. They were one of 2 teams in the Elite Eight alongside Tennessee. So I want to start with Tennessee. They come up short against Purdue. A fun game, a game of runs. You'd sit down and Purdue would go on like a 10-0 run, and then you'd get up, you'd come back, and Tennessee had gone on like a 7-0 run. It was very back and forth, a fun game, I thought. But what did you make of this season for Rick Barnes and this Tennessee team?
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably got as much as they could get out of it. I think, as we started to see towards the end of the season, it was just a team where I think they were just going to rely on Dalton Connect and hope that everyone else could kind of find some consistent scoring around him. And look, he still managed to almost get them there. And, they just didn't have a good game out of really anybody else offensively. They just could not hit enough shots. And, I think that ultimately, outside of just trying to figure out how to guard Zach Edey, that was the big problem, was just trying to figure out if he was going to be able to just do it by himself. And, yeah, it just wasn't enough. I thought that, the overall thing for me is that there was never really a point in the NCAA tournament where, for all the years that people picked on Rick Barnes, I thought he had probably one of his better tournaments coaching-wise. I mean, he put them in a great position, I thought, in every game and did the best they could. But, it just seemed like if they just had one more of those guys offensively that, could even come close to Connect's level consistently, then that would have been kind of the missing piece that probably gets them to the Final Four, to the national championship game, given the draw. And, yeah, it just wasn't enough, but I don't think you can really knock them for the the season they had. I thought they, probably got about as much as they could get out of it, and just ran into the wrong matchup in the Elite Eight.
That's as far as I had Tennessee going. I had them to the 8. I had Kentucky as well to the 8. I had nobody to the Final Four. So 12% of the SEC, they had 8 teams. That's 12% of the 68 bids. They got 2 teams into the Sweet 16. That's a good percentage. They got 2 to the Elite 8. That's good. 1 to the 4. All the early round losses and criticism of the SEC, was it a little early? Was it warranted, or was it too early and not fair?
Yeah, I think we always say this, but I think you can do that with very many conferences each year. I mean, you can just see that there are some conferences where, I mean, the SEC went 6-1 in the first round last year, right, or something like that, or 6-1, 7-1, something like that. And so it's like, you can go back and say, well, last year, look how it panned out. And then this year, well, they got off to a 1-5 start. Ultimately, I guess they were 3-5 in the first round. And then from there, it's like, I've always said, I mean, I don't necessarily, just get enough teams beyond the first weekend. And that's really what matters. And again, I think 2 would be disappointing given the kind of year that the SEC had. But still, I mean, I don't know if that number would have been 5 or anything like that. You would have expected to see another team. I mean, Auburn would have probably been the one that was certainly the most likely. Of course, Kentucky in that same category, although I list off the reasons why I thought that was more of a challenge than people thought. And so, I mean, I think it's, as always, it's about the draw. And when you have a 3 seed that gets a tough draw like Kentucky did, I mean, that's just the name of the game, and we say it every year. And so, I'd say probably it's much ado about nothing, maybe to a certain extent, because, look, one of the probably top 4 SEC teams that we talked about most of the season. I don't want to leave South Carolina out of that necessarily, because remember, they only finished 1 game back at Tennessee, like the other 3 teams did, in Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky. But those top 4 that we did talk about for most of the year, you get one of them in the Final Four, you get one of them in the Elite 8, and the other 2 just happened to catch Cinderella at the wrong time. And that's kind of how it works sometimes.
And one of those teams that didn't make it past first weekend, Texas A&M, down to the wire with Houston. Yep. Houston got a really tough break with the shed injury against Duke. I think A&M could have stayed right in there with Duke. I don't know who would have won, but I don't think it would have been a laugher by any means. So in the end is what matters, isn't it? In SEC with 1 in the Final Four, whether it's a route to UConn, a lot of people are going to be routed by UConn.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't been able to say that often about the SEC, getting 1 of the Final Four. I mean, if we really think about it, I mean, it's not been something that has happened frequently, unfortunately, for this league. And
if it's not Kentucky, it hadn't been anybody since Florida.
Yeah. We'll say, you look at just kind of what, just a couple of teams have done, and that's about it, right? And so, other than just kind of the memorable runs you have from a South Carolina one year, and Auburn makes the run.
That's right. I'm sorry. South Carolina and Auburn. I'm sorry.
But that's been the outlier, right? Like, and that's the point. It's like you've just not really had any consistent team you can rely on to feel like they're going to get there year after year after year. Whereas, UConn's become a team like that, and a Big Ten team like Purdue, which obviously they're getting over the hump this year, but still you're used to seeing a team like that there. The SEC really hasn't had anyone like that because the Kentucky, has struggled a little bit, as we know, as we talked about. Tennessee's been waiting, and so finally you have a team like Alabama that breaks through the same way Auburn broke through. And I think that's just kind of what's interesting about all this is, the game has changed, as we say so many times, that you're just going to have more of these NC State type runs. But Alabama, I don't know that it's that improbable that Alabama would make the Final Four, just based on the fact that this was a team that looked like the best team in the SEC for quite a while this year. But just had a bit of a struggle down the stretch. So
yeah, I'm sorry for making that error and omitting South Carolina and Auburn. Those both were good runs. Is Kentucky the last team to reach the finals since Florida? Is that right?
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, I think that would be right. Now Auburn fans may tell you different. They may feel like they're still playing in the finals that year. But yeah, that's the one.
They got robbed and sadly, it was some baseball calls too. But that was really the last time Rod Bramlett was voice of Auburn sport. He did some baseball after that, but sadly, that was the kind of the last big moment, and that was that was a horrible call.
Yeah, they're still thinking about that one, especially after the way this year ended, thinking that they may have a chance to get back there. So.
Yeah. Blake, for Alabama, a lot of this year, we talked about it a lot with you, but the story about them has been defense. Was that overdone, or has it just been, when you outscore your opponents and you have the offense that Alabama has, you can win games? What have you noticed with this Alabama team in this tournament? Has the kind of story about their defensive woes been overdone a little bit?
Well, I think sometimes there is a tendency when you see a team like UConn doing what they're doing to just say, well, every team needs to be like that to be successful. They need to be a top 5 offense and defense. And I think we've seen with like a team like Alabama, that's just not true. Like sometimes if you are as good offensively as they are most nights, even if you have an average defense, which at times they've been below average, but I think they've been a little bit closer to average to good in the NCAA tournament. And that's been the difference, is the fact that they're not just terrible. They're not giving up 102, 105, 117, 99. Those are all games against, teams like Florida and Kentucky and Auburn. Tennessee scored 91 against them. So, yeah, I think you look at it that way, right, and you try to really figure out what do you have to do to get there. And I think their defense, there's been way more commitment to defense in the past, week and a half than I've seen from Alabama in a long time. And I think, sometimes you also have to, I see people bring up, well, they still give up 96, they still give up 87, 82. I'm like, yeah, but you can't compare Alabama defensively just by the numbers to everybody else, because they're going to play a style that's so up and down, they're going to give up points. Like the point, you kind of have to throw out a little bit and not judge them and say, well, if they're not giving up 60, they're not a good defensive team. It's not going to be that way. They're always going to play in some high-scoring games just because of the way the game is played and how they like to run their offense and get out and go and all that. They're going to give up transition baskets just based on how they run their system. So I don't think that's something to kind of go too far with, but they have definitely made more of a commitment on that end, and I think that has been a big reason why they've gotten here, is not just the fact that you can't ever really put them away because of how good they are offensively, but it's the fact that they've made more big plays on the defensive end in some of these key moments, and I think that's what it comes down to. And as I talked about with someone today, it's like, I think Alabama's actually a little bit better when it comes to half-court defense that people will give them credit for. It's just when you get in that up-and-down game, they struggle a little bit. And here's the good news for Alabama. That's not UConn's style. They don't want to get in an up-and-down game. They want to just play this thing in the half-court. They can if they need to, but that's not their strength. So I think there are some things here that make this matchup a lot more interesting than people probably think, just because of how dominant UConn has been at this point.
Blake, I'm going to go with you after that Oakland pick over Kentucky, and you said last week you really liked Alabama over North Carolina. When I didn't share either one of those sentiments. I'm going to go with this. Only thing that scares me, now this was the kind of the rat race game, gave up 96 to Charleston.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is, and then as I'm watching that game, I'm looking from about the 10-minute mark on, and they're up. Alabama's up 30 with I think it was 9 minutes left in that game, and I almost, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, I know what's about to happen. They're gonna let the foot off the gas, which they did, and then Charleston just goes on a couple of these mini runs where they're just scoring, and ultimately you're looking up at it, and I'm like, all right, what is Nato going to do here? He's realizing that these guys sort of just maybe were like, all right, we got up by so many points, the game's over, let's just go back to doing what we do, and we're just going to be a little more lackadaisical. And so I would say that's a little bit more of what happened there because they had such a big lead. But otherwise, I think in the games where they've actually had to play defense, where the game is on the line, where that one just was not, they have looked much better, guys. And I think that is going to be very interesting because it's one thing to do it against the teams they've done it against so far, not to knock North Carolina, not to knock Clemson or anybody else, but it's another thing to do it against this UConn team, which has just been so remarkable. And the thing I love most about this UConn team is I just don't feel like I see them take many bad shots.
Yeah.
And they get exactly what they want to get on every possession. They have the discipline to do it. And if you have just, that margin for error is so tiny when you play them, that's what worries me for Alabama.
Yeah. Well, and this might come to a halt against a team like UConn, but it seems like watching this Alabama team throughout the tournament, I mean, going back to the Elite Eight game on the other side of the bracket between Tennessee and Purdue, you watch that game, and it's Zach Edey going off for 40 points for them. And then on the other side, you mentioned earlier, Tennessee, it's all Dalton Connect. They didn't really get much production from anybody else. With this Alabama team, it seems like if one guy isn't clicking, somebody else steps up. Sears has been the guy kind of all season long, but he kind of has somewhat of an off game in that game against North Carolina, and Grant Nelson steps up. Nick Pringle is stepping up and giving you good minutes. Estrada is coming up. You had Diabate a couple games ago in this tournament come off the bench and give you really good minutes. I mean, it seems like with this Alabama team, and maybe it's because of how dominant, how potent that offense is, it seems like they're getting something from a lot of different guys, even if their second leading scorer might have an off game.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the real story here, I think, is just looking at how many different guys that have stepped up because, and think about it, too, they're doing it with one of their top 3 scorers not even playing here recently, and that's Latrell Wrightsell. So he's been out. I know he's considered day-to-day. It seems like there's some momentum that he'll play against UConn, which would be nice. But, one of the things I said was, hey, if I'd have told you in the North Carolina game that Mark Sears is going to be the 4th leading scorer, I said, would you have told me that Alabama won or lost? I'd have said lost probably 10 times out of 10. Now, look, he scored 18, but that's the point. Is like he's their 4th leading scorer and scores 18 points. You get 24 from Nelson, 19 from Estrada and Griffin. And so that was the big thing. And they've had different guys, whether it's the Grant Nelson game against Carolina, the Jaron Stevenson game against Clemson, like they've had so many other guys step up. And it's like you still have a guy that's having what I think, really when you look back at it, guys, I think we're going to realize Mark Sears and Dalton Connect are probably having 2 of the better SEC seasons that I've seen from guys in a while. Like they are going to go down as like really special seasons when you look at the output that these 2 guys have had this year. But it has been what everybody else has been doing for Alabama. And that's going to be important in this game because if you really look at the matchup here, what's interesting is that there's only one team that's taken 30 or more three-pointers against UConn this season, and that was Arkansas Pine Bluff. So if you take that game out of the mix, what UConn has done is not allowed teams to get a lot of looks from 3. So as we know, Alabama could take 33s in the first 10 minutes of the game. I mean, that's just the way they play. So I think that's going to be the interesting part of this, is you're going to have how many guys step up for Alabama shooting threes, because I think that's their only chance of success here, is to spread everybody out. You guess what that does? That brings Klingon further away from the basket. Then you have a chance to get easier points at the basket. But I still think the name of this one's going to be Alabama making threes, getting a lot of three-point attempts. And when they're not, it's just basically getting everybody out there to where they have to respect, like you just said, they have to respect everybody else because of how they've been playing. So this, again, I'm not saying Alabama's going to win, and we know UConn's good enough to just blow anybody out, no matter how well you play sometimes. But I think Alabama's the kind of team with the volume threes and just the way they play that it's not easy to prepare for a team like that. And even though UConn's had a week to do it, there's still going to be some challenges because I don't think you can just replicate what Alabama does in practice. So
Zach Edey is the best college big man since who?
Oh, boy. What would your answer be, Brett? I'm curious.
This morning, Dave Wolosh and I were talking this very subject on his show that I joined him on, and I said since Shaq, and Dave said since Greg Oden, and I think Dave's right. And then and always, something comes to you after you take the headsets off. I got through with it, and I submit Roy Hibbert was a really good college big man.
Yeah. I mean, he was, and I think we forget sometimes how dominant he was, for those teams in particular. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't know what else you do. I mean, I know Tennessee fans, Zach Edey has become, public enemy number 1 without question, just, based on their frustration with the lack of foul calls. And
who's more reviled, Charles Woodson or Zach Edey?
At this point, it may be Zach Edey, preventing them from the Final Four and the way that they were reacting as that game was going on. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? And that's the issue. It's like it's not just Tennessee. I mean, you go through the entire year, like this has been the theme. Like there's just been nobody that's really been able to do anything to stop this guy. And, that's what I'm very curious about, like with NC State. I mean, they've made this great run. They've had to play a bunch of different teams, different styles along the way. But this is just something, even with DJ Burns in there, it's like, what do you do? How do you stop this? Because if you get in foul trouble, it's over. what are you going to do if that's the case? Because that's what happened with Tennessee, right? 3 of their big men, they're just having to rotate because nobody can make an impact on stopping him. So it's pretty remarkable to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We're talking SEC basketball with Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14. Kind of the big story today and yesterday, but really today has got to be Eric Musselman, and what a wild year it's been for him and Arkansas. I mean, it felt like middle of the season, you were asking, a lot of people, would Muss leave after this season? Would he come back? And I felt like it was probably he was going to leave, but then we get to the end of Arkansas season, we see a lot of these openings. He doesn't, get hired at any of these jobs. It sounds like at this point now he's content at Arkansas, but here we are again. He was supposed to have a meeting today with USC, and all indications say that as long as he has a somewhat decent interview, if that, and wants the job, that he would be USC's
basically don't throw
coach.
up on the AD at USC.
Literally. I mean, don't cuss him out or something. I don't know. But what do you make of this story with Eric Musselman?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one that I think everyone could sort of see the way this was going right after the season. SMU was the popular team of the day for a while there. Everybody thinking that was the one you could connect him with, given the, I think family connections and all that stuff. And you're like, all right, well, that's it. Well, it turns out that wasn't it. And then it's almost like, I feel like, from Eric Musselman's probably standpoint, it's like the dominoes fell probably as well as you could have asked for if you were in a situation where you're trying to get out, where if it's not SMU, well, look what opens up. Mm-hmm. It's USC, a place on the West Coast that, we know he's very familiar with, enjoys it there, had a lot of jobs out there. Like, we know that. There's no question. And so, I mean, it's the perfect scenario for an Eric Musselman. Is it the perfect scenario for an Arkansas? Probably not, based on where we are now in the coaching carousel. But as always, it's a little bit different now, to where there's really not a lot of limitations that are in place that are going to keep other guys that maybe they would want to talk to. And I know Chris Beard just got the extension and all this other stuff, and we know he is at the very top of fan base list as to who they would want to replace Eric Musselman. I don't know if it'll be as easy as they seem to think, but it's a possibility when money is thrown around and all these things. Other names that are being mentioned, I know Will Wade is one that's out there, and as I keep saying, he's going to make his way back sooner rather than later. And maybe you take the short-term hit on if there are whatever limitations there are based on the penalties or whatever, because long-term, he's going to win games. And, of course, Jerome Tang's another one at Kansas State. There's been a lot of talk about him just really wanting out for whatever reason there. And so those would probably be the 3 names that I've certainly heard the most. And so it will be interesting. I think this is, like you said, Brad, as long as nothing happened out of the norm, I think this is absolutely going to happen, and I'd be stunned if it doesn't.
I'm really kind of stunned. It's 2:20 in L.A. I'm really kind of stunned by the time we go off, Bryant, that some leak, the Rothstein tweet, something like that, and the formal presser tomorrow at Heritage Hall or wherever they have it for back. Will they let basketball even on the grounds of Heritage Hall at USC? Blake, I don't know if they would or wouldn't. Blake, I would love to see this happen. I know it won't. I shouldn't waste brain matter on something like this, but it would be so well received by 99.9% of the rest of college sports fans for this. Let's say he doesn't get it. Let's say somehow he doesn't get it. He flies back to Fayetteville. If I'm Hunter Yurachek, I have all of his stuff on the curb with a security guard with his buyout in cash in $5 bills. You count it and make sure it's all right if you don't believe us. And you don't have a job anymore. Blake, there's 100 people that would want to be the Razorback coach tomorrow. The life would not end without Eric Musselman.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and you've seen, I mean, the way Arkansas fans have turned. I mean, it is, look, and I think throughout the season, certainly there were frustrations, but I don't think the fan base had, completely turned on him or anything. It was just a matter of, hey, whatever reason, this team didn't work out.
Well, they voted with their rear ends, because I was at the Vanderbilt game, and it wasn't 7,000 people in there.
That's the thing, right? It's just eventually that trust runs out, and you start to wonder, is this something bigger going on here? And that's when you started getting all the rumors out there of saying, well, there have already been, back channels where he's reached out to Team A and Team B, and this was in January. Now, again, I can't confirm any of that, but that's where you really start to turn things. And I think over the past 2 weeks especially, I don't know that I've seen a fan base get as fed up with their coach as this one, other than maybe the John Calipari situation for a completely different reason. But, this has been one where I think once you lose the fans to this level, not just not showing up to the games, but now you've got basically a revolt and people thinking that you certainly don't want to be there. You've got an AD putting out something, without his knowledge and all this, but yet the fans are behind the AD in some sense because they're like, well, why can't he get some sort of answer here? Why is he having to say these kind of things? And it's really turned into a complete power play, and I'm like, this is Arkansas basketball. How has he gotten here? I don't think there's any way they could fix this relationship, whether he gets the USC job or not.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird and interesting offseason, not only at Arkansas, but around the SEC if that job does come open.
Blake, we've imposed on you a bunch. Can we wrap it up next week, will you? Can you, especially if Bama wins it? Can we have one more hit from you next week?
Yeah, absolutely. If Bama wins the national championship, we'll have plenty to talk about next week. But I'm sure we'll have a coaching search, at least one of them to talk about too. So
well, we will, and next Wednesday we'll have to get Masters picks from you.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I am. Listen, I've been watching Full Swing on Netflix. I'm all in right now, so I'm excited for the Masters. So.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Blake. We'll talk to you next week.
You got
Sounds good.
Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14 joining us to talk the SEC, and might just be getting to the start of the craziness in the SEC this offseason.
Brian, do you realize nothing lasts long anymore, but the kind of the Q factor, the it factor, the buzz around Hunter Yurachek, Musselman doesn't get it. He gets back to Fayetteville and whether he goes to the office or not, somebody says, hey, you better go by the office. I think all your stuff's out on the curb.
It would certainly prove a point. Wouldn't
it be great?
Exclamation point. Yeah, I mean, it would.
I mean, to try to break this this stranglehold that these guys have that no other workplace ever in the history of society has had. And apparently he's so offended at the criticism this year. Well, Coach, what do you expect?
Yeah, won a great year. Wasn't even a decent year. It was bad. You were playing on Wednesday in the SEC tournament. After
thank you, which I said should be in contracts to be fireable offenses.
After the run they went on last year, to be playing on Wednesday night in Nashville is not a great step.
I would just, he's going to take USC, so it's but literally have an armed security guard out there and his payout being fives. If you don't believe us, count them. And you're trespassing.
Certainly make a statement and
you're a fired employee. Yeah. You're trespassing. Your security card's been turned off.
Well, and like Blake said, it seems like that whole fan base is completely behind the AD and whatever decision he makes.
You don't think the little coach at Sanford that was driving the bus a few years ago wouldn't take Arkansas for $2.6 million?
Yeah, there's plenty of coaches out there that would take
Coach Raheem at South Florida?
Yeah.
You don't think he'd take it?
Plenty of coaches out there that would take it.
I wish just one time somebody would. And if the whole world crumbles around you, it costs you your career. You still took a stand.
Sure, no, absolutely. So it's going to get weird. I think these next and like you said, Brett. I think I would not be surprised at all if we got some sort of report from somebody out there before we're done with the show saying Eric Musselman's the guy.
I'm feeling the Rothstein tweet any second. Heck and I like Eric Musselman, I really do.
Sure.
And like knew his wife Danielle when she was a reporter in Baton Rouge. Yep. I like them a lot.
Sure.
But again, he didn't invent basketball.
No, he didn't. But you're right. I think Rothstein, Goodman, one of these guys. If I get a notification from them anytime now, I would not be surprised at all.
And Eric Musselman's ties to the NBA are so strong. This could be a Woj bomb.
Could be a Woj bomb. Certainly could be. Woj likes to dip his toes in the college basketball every now and then if it has those NBA ties to it. But let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, a busy day in Major League Baseball. We'll talk everything that happened last night and earlier today in Major League Baseball. We'll do that next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. Add in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Is your home screaming for an upgrade? Listen closely because Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is about to make your day. First up, say goodbye to cold showers and hello to endless hot water with our tankless water heater upgrade. Not only does it save space and energy, but it also keeps the hot water flowing exactly when you need it. And here's the kicker. Switch from your old tank to a sleek, efficient tankless water heater now, and Choates will hand you a $500 credit. Yep, you heard that right. $500 back in your pocket. But wait, there's more. Clogged drains are a hassle no homeowner wants to deal with. With Choate's special offer, get your drains cleared for just $93 or it's absolutely free. That's our guarantee to make it drain or you don't pay a dime. So why wait? Call Choates today at 347-8086 or visit us online at choateshvac.com. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Here's some hard truth about engagement rings. There are 10 premier designers every woman knows about. They're like the Mercedes or Louis Vuitton of engagement rings. World-class, iconic, quality names. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and these designers are hard to get. And every jewelry store wants them, but very few make the cut. So they have to settle for lesser brands or knockoffs. Around here, there's only one jewelry store that offers these premium rings. It's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is the only one that made the cut, that meets the highest standards. Genesis is the only store that's allowed to offer these exceptional brands that women really want. Other stores are jealous of this and will try and convince you these are more expensive and try to get you to settle for something else. But the truth is, Genesis has top quality designer rings for under $2,000. It's not about price, it's about craftsmanship and quality and detail and individuality. So don't compromise. Get her a world-class ring she will be proud to wear. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Yo, Mark, long time no see. You still down at Dyer's?
Man, I'm not down at Dyer's. I'm out at Collierville Historic Town Square.
When'd you move out there?
We've been out there for about 13 years. We've got the shops, the park, we got the train the kids like to play on.
You still cooking those burgers the old-fashioned way?
Man, we're still flattening out those hamburger balls on a slab of marble and skillet frying them the old-fashioned way like they've been doing for 100 years.
Dude, you still have those onion rings.
Man, they're fantastic. Hand-breaded, served up just right.
I loved those milkshakes. Please tell me you're still doing those.
Man, we are hand-dipping those shakes, putting them in the old glass in the shake tin, served the old-fashioned way.
You got any new items out there I need to know about?
We're just doing a lot of gourmet sandwiches. We've got farm-raised catfish straight out of the Delta. We've got some hot tamales from Pasquale's Tamales out of Helena, Arkansas.
Man, are they served in the husk?
What those guys like to say, they're so good, you'll suck the shuck.
Go see my buddy Mark at Dyer's Cafe in Collierville's historic town square.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A couple of minor accidents out here in the last few minutes now. It has increased with more volume through the Midtown area. That's what we're checking out live here on 240 coming southbound all the way down past Norris. Again, as you try to get out of Midtown. And the biggest slowdown remains over here on 240 East between Bill Morris Parkway and Poplar. Again, that's only going to get busier here in the next 15-20 minutes. Give yourself extra time on this side of town on 240 East. Again, coming past Bill Morris Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Johnny Hill producing as we're in our family leisure studios in Major League Baseball. It's been a busy day today as a lot of games getting started early, and we've got already a handful of finals. Angels all over the Marlins, 10-2. Twins, a big inning late in the game, gives them the upper hand. They win 7-3, and then the Rangers, a 4-1 victory over the Rays. A couple of games already postponed today. Braves and White Sox, Tigers and Mets, and then Royals, Orioles, and Reds, Phillies, both in rain delays right now. I don't know if either of those games will get in today, but rain certainly a factor today in Major League Baseball.
Base runners everywhere for Jordan Walker at the plate right now, and he meekly grounds into a double play.
Well, you know, I had a feeling, especially after last night's win, and Zach Thompson going today.
Number 57.
Nothing against Zach Thompson, but when last night in post game when they were doing the, getting ready for tomorrow's game, here's the preview for tomorrow, I said, I think this is a game the Cardinals might drop. This might be the loser of the series.
It'll be fun, long flight home, short night. Maybe for the players, I don't know how many actually live in the St. Louis area. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of the staffers, it's been a long time since they've been home.
Man, no kidding.
And they get about hello, good night, and back to the ballpark tomorrow morning before the best opening day ceremony in all of sport. Yep. And I will fight anybody on that. You can tell me about something maybe as good. Nope. Mm-hmm. How they do it in red-clad St. Louis. I've been to 3, went in 2002. And that was the first opening day after 9/11, so very patriotic feel that day. Went in 2004, talking about patriotic feel. That day, President George W. Bush threw out the first pitch. Security, unbelievable. I believe it. And also presidential election year. Getting in the stadium was quite the job that day. I mean,
I believe it.
You weren't getting in with a ballpoint pen. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then went opening day in 2006 to New Busch Stadium.
Yeah, so I mean it's good. I've never been to an opening day, but I've seen it plenty of times on television. It looks like a great scene.
Brian, I've said, and I mean this wholly complimentary. St. Louis does its own thing.
Sure.
But it has the passion that feels like you're out at college game day at a football site. That passion of opening day and then the parade and the just the air of good feeling, and I think how they do the ceremony in St. Louis is up there. A place that does ceremony very well is Boston, and I think they have opening day tomorrow too, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
and they're honoring the 2004 team that swept the Cardinals in the 2004 World Series and finally broke the most fabled curse in the history of sport, the curse of the Bambino. 86 years since they had won, and one of the people very instrumental in building the Red Sox to what they are now was Larry Lucchino, who just passed away earlier this week, and that's somebody that really should be honored. He Pittsburgh guy, played college basketball on the Princeton Final Four team with Bill Bradley. Yale Law School, worked on the Senate Watergate Committee with Hillary Clinton and Bernard Nussbaum and other really smart people, whether you agree or disagree. Sure. It was some big brains in there, and he was very tough on staff. Reminded a lot of people of kind of Nick Saban, David Stern type tough taskmaster. He was very hard, demanding, and the story goes by somebody in Boston that one night a staffer left at 8 p.m.
Wow.
So let's just say they'd gotten there at 8 a.m.
Sure.
And the person left and said, "Hey, I'm going home. Good night, everybody." And they hadn't gotten down the hall good. And said, Larry Lucchino said, "Now we see who the show ponies are and who the real workhorses are." Person probably been there 12 hours.
Oh, yeah. I love that. That's great. Wow, that's a really good story. It should be a good scene out there. So I mentioned that we had 2 delays right now for games, and it looks like the Orioles and Royals set to start at a little after 5 o'clock. So we already have a start time here. Interesting story out of Philadelphia. Games in a weather delay, and according to their local broadcast, or I think this might have been on the Reds' actual broadcast, but supposedly Citizens Bank Park is booked tomorrow for a wedding. So they could not make up the game tomorrow if this gets rained out. So they're trying everything they can to get the game in today. And I guess supposedly there's really bad weather for the rest of the day. But they're going to try everything they can to get the game in today because there is absolutely no way they can play tomorrow. Congrats to whoever's getting married, though.
Well, that's a tough sports town. It is famously booed Santa.
Well,
they could get some booze tomorrow at the wedding.
You can show up to the wedding at the park and boo them if this one is.
We don't need booing and heckling at a wedding, do we?
No, I don't think so. It might. I mean, but I thought booing Santa was a step too far. So I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Well, it is, but that's Philadelphia for you. They're different. They're a little different. I've been very surprised the start of the season. I don't know how much you've been able to catch of them being out on that West Coast, but for the Mariners, thought the lineup was going to be better in terms of hitting the ball, pitching.
It's kind of how they started last year.
It is, but man, they just really struggle at the plate and are really struggling to get runs. Right now, down 8-0 in the bottom of the 5th. Only 3 hits today for them against the Guardians.
Yeah, I'm surprised with that one too. But the long play, that could be one of those shake it up and kind of catch a wave with a new guy if they got off to too stumbling of a start.
Yeah, it could be, and kind of something that I guess is helping them is kind of the rough start that the Astros have had, being in that same division. They're sitting there 1-5 right now. Now the Rangers are playing well. The Angels have, I don't know if they're better or if it's just the start of the season they've had against these kind of opponents. But they're still certainly in the mix. But I'm with you. If they come out stumbling with the roster they have, I mean, I've heard Jeff Passan talk about this Mariners team, and I have great respect for Jeff Passan when it comes to baseball, saying that this team could compete for a World Series with the roster that they have currently, and you certainly don't want too much time to pass when you're not capitalizing on that. So, if we're a month in, to the season, they're still struggling, there could be a change there.
One of those shake it up just to shake things up. That most of the time kind of works for that year.
After that, it's a little shaky. And so that's kind of where you've got to feel like this is a go-for-it year or we're in that go-for-it period.
And I know he'd rather be in a dugout. Mm-hmm. And I hate how it ended in New York for him with the Mets. It ended with the Mets, how it always ends for him. And I'm talking about Buck Showalter. But him not managing and him being on that desk at MLB Network is to our benefit. When he speaks, you better listen.
Oh, absolutely.
You can sure learn from him.
He knows what he's talking about.
And does it in a fun manner. Never manages like that. It's a little bit like Joe Girardi. Yeah. It was a little bit like here with Mike Fratello. When he was head coach of the Grizzlies, the czar, the telestrator, and so good and effusive and fun, and he was not that here.
No, but you're right. I mean, very different from
Hubie was the same guy coaching, same guy on TV.
Sure, but definitely, it's a little different, I guess, when you're in the dugout, when you're on the bench, and then get in front of a TV, and you can kind of be a little more free, kind of.
Dusty Baker was the same way, and I'm hoping you think he'll be in the Fox mix when they start having more panel shows? I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great pickup for them. But talking about Buck Showalter, I mean, I think a lot of people thought we changed him out and look out. But I mean, this Mets team, 0-4 start. I mean,
he
really
could
bad.
be that guy that could be the shake up for the sake of shaking up, and you're not going to hire an organizational guy.
Yeah, no, he really could be, and I mean. I think certainly would be a name out there with what he has been in.
And he's
baseball.
better in shorter sprints than he is the long haul.
Absolutely. I wouldn't mind that at all for any team out there that needs kind of a shake it up.
The American League, we got a brand new champion last year in the Texas Rangers. Mm-hmm. I think Seattle definitely could be that this year. Tampa Bay has been it for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And that's probably it in the American League.
Seems like it, yeah.
Baltimore, no doubt, Baltimore.
No doubt, Baltimore. Yeah, it's
but they've won one. It's just been so long.
Sure.
That'd be a long time ago. Not that many in the National League. Mm-mm. San Diego's not. I don't think Milwaukee would do it.
No.
Arizona maybe.
Maybe.
Arizona won it in 01.
Sure,
but it's been a long
still
time.
A long time, yeah.
Pittsburgh, long time.
Pittsburgh's been a long time, and still undefeated, 5-0. How about that? Look out for
the
Buccos. I know we got a texter that texts in a lot. He's a big Pirates fan. I know they're enjoying this start to the season. So
they should be. I'd take a rematch right now, 79 of Pirates Orioles.
Oh yeah, why not? I would love that. But they're a fun team to watch. But hopefully, a lot of afternoon baseball, like we've talked about. Hopefully, some of these games that are postponed can get in. I'm going to be, now that I know what's happening with this Reds-Phillies game situation. I'm keeping my eye on that all afternoon, all night.
I think that I need to be on the bride, Bryant. That's for any wedding.
I mean, that's a great point. But man, what a story. I mean, nothing
really
screams
is.
the start of baseball season than a story like that. I mean, that's
some dad stepping up for that venue, isn't he?
Man, you got to be.
That ain't Minglewood Hall, is it?
You got to be a big Phillies fan to
it really does
have a wedding there. Good for them, though. Hopefully, they don't become the most hated couple in Philadelphia if things go south.
Were you surprised at the percentage of the vote in that county? I'm sorry, I don't know. I think Jackson County in Kansas City that essentially voted down the Royals' new stadium and the improvement to Arrowhead.
Kinda, a little, but not really. Kinda, I guess.
And now, and I said earlier, the difference between direct vote and kind of just coming from state coffers. You can if you're mad enough, you could vote against the governor over that, or state reps that kind of voted for it in committee or whatever. Yeah. But when you give that person that vote on almost anything, I can't really stop. If you live in Missouri, you really can't stop Jefferson City, and you can't stop Washington. But I can prevent raising my own taxes.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I was a little surprised about that, but we'll see. I mean, the Chiefs, this dynasty they've been on, and then the Royals. I mean, I think the future is very bright for them.
Bright. The Royals' young players.
Oh man, they're good.
It's better. It's much better than the Cardinals.
100%. I hate to say that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, they're fun.
If I had to bet on who won one again next, and we know who won it the last time, the Royals. That's hard to believe.
I mean, if they can keep this young group together, keep them progressing, I mean, you could look over in Kansas City in a couple of years, and not only that football team running it, but that baseball team could be right up there with them. They've been a fun team to keep an eye on over this first week, this first full week of the season. Let's go ahead and get to a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Professional football is back as your Memphis Showboats have 5 home games this season, starting with the home opener on Saturday, April 6th at 11 a.m. The Showboats are coming off a strong first year and have added a ton of firepower to the offense, highlighted by quarterback Case Cookus, the 2022 Player of the Year, and the return of fan favorite Vinny Papali. Let's make Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium the best home field advantage of the UFL. For tickets, visit theufl.com. That's theufl.com. Go Boats! Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, my big number today has got to be the number 10. Last night, the Utah Jazz lost their 10th consecutive game, the team's first double-digit losing streak since the 1981-82 season. That is incredible.
That is.
I understand it's 10 games. That's a lot of games to lose in a row. But the fact that the Jazz have not lost 10 straight games since 81-82.
That's pre-Mailman Stockton.
That's incredible.
That's pre-Darrell Griffith.
Yeah.
That's a wild number. That's incredible.
That's amazing.
That's pre-Jerry Sloan. That may be pre-Frank Layden.
Yeah.
I can't even talk pre-Frank Layden.
So now the NBA's longest active stretch without a double-digit losing streak now belongs to the Dallas Mavericks, whose last double-digit losing streak came in the 1997-98 season.
I would have thought they would have had one since that. That's impressive.
10 games, that's a lot of games.
Yeah, it is. That is. That's a good number.
I was shocked when I saw that big number.
Your big number's 10. My big number's 11.
Oh, wow.
NC State, 11 seed. They made the Final Four. They are the 6th 11 seed to make the Final Four. So here they are, 2024 NC State. 2021 COVID bubble in Indianapolis, UCLA. 2018 Loyola in San Antonio. I was there. 2011 VCU, 2006 George Mason. I saw Mason beat UConn to get to the Final Four in D.C. In 1986 with the freak defense when Dale Brown and LSU got to the Final Four. None of those previous 5 make it to the finals. You get to the semis, and that's where it stops.
Yeah, it seems like
that's a good number,
the same's going to happen this year. I mean, going up against Purdue, I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think I was very foolish for ever thinking that we would get a championship game with anybody other than UConn and Purdue.
It's all I had. I got it in my bracket. It just nothing would have dissuaded me from it. Now, look, I had a lot in my bracket. It was really wrong that you couldn't have changed me from either. But I had that all the way. That I thought it was easy, and it's a shame that from when that second game ends Saturday night at bedtime, the kind of the PR machine Sunday, and then a little bit Monday, but we won't have time to really ramp up for what could potentially be classic final matchup.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, 2 30-plus win teams with UConn going for history, Purdue going for their first with a big man.
Yeah.
National Player of the Year back-to-back years?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we are asking the question of Zach Edey, greatest big men since, and then, to see him go up against a team that, such a dominant big man to go up against a team that is so dominant like UConn that's looking for back-to-back championships, man, I do wish we had more time to be able to build it up and talk about it, because this will be one of the all-time championship games, I think, if that's what we get, but I think that's what we're getting.
All right, since you like the NIT so much,
oh yeah,
in your world, if you were the czar of the sport, would you go back to a consolation game on Monday?
No. I would not. I would not. No, I'm good on the consolation game.
No, Dale Brown made the best, and I think the final point in 81 on the same afternoon that President Reagan was shot earlier that day, March 30th, 1981. He played in the last consolation game in Philadelphia, and he said, so my reward for the most historic year in LSU basketball history is I end the year on a 2-game losing streak. This is dumb.
Yikes. Yeah, that is rough. And as much as I love the consolation tournament. Yeah, no. I'm good on the consolation game.
No, and Brian, that last consolation game, I promise you, we're going to have a Razorback fan text before we go to the break. No, Arkansas played the last consolation game in '78 in St. Louis. Nope. I have won so many bets on that. Not only was it not the last one, there were 3 more after it.
Wow.
The last one was in 1981.
Interesting. Yeah, well, keep it back then. I don't want it anytime soon. But who knows? Nowadays with everything so crazy, I guess you never know what could happen. Anything for money. If they think a consolation game could get them more money, we'd see one soon.
Don't plant the seed. Boy, you're right. Let's quit talking about it.
Yes. So let's go ahead and get to a break, wrap up this hour. When we come back, we're talking more college basketball with Kevin Sweeney.
From the studio that brought you Uncut Gems comes The Iron Claw, the unbelievable true story of the Von Erich brothers, who built a wrestling dynasty. Adele calls it her favorite movie of the year, starring Zac Efron and Emmy Award winner Jeremy Allen White. Get The Iron Claw on Blu-ray and DVD now from A24 in Lionsgate.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. We've helped over 30,000 families out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. At Wesley Financial Group, we're dedicated to helping timeshare owners get out of their financial nightmare. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call now for your free timeshare exit information kit. Call 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Hernando, Little Rock, and Cleveland, Mississippi specializes in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. MPD on the scene of a couple of wrecks now. It's gotten a little bit more crowded in the last few minutes, leaving Midtown on 240 going southbound here at Lamar. Also going the other direction there on I-40 as you head up towards Chelsea. It's already sluggish over here. No surprise, really. And you shouldn't be surprised either because it's been this way since, a week on 240 getting on to Bill Morris Parkway. Just 240 in general, trying to get past Poplar. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Memphis. Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and we're working to get Kevin Sweeney. He joins us every single Wednesday afternoon to talk college basketball. Having some trouble, but we'll try to get him on the line because a lot to get to. Obviously, Final Four set, plenty to talk about there with those games, but then the Eric Musselman situation with USC. We haven't talked to him since Pat Kelsey was named the head coach at Louisville, so a lot of coaching carousel news, transfer portal, of course. So plenty to talk about with Kevin in terms of college basketball.
When do you think the Tigers will start having portal hits? When do you think they'll start landing players?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because
it's still early.
It's still very early, and they had Dane Danger from Illinois. He was on campus yesterday. I'm not sure if he's still on his visit or if that wrapped up earlier this afternoon, but I would think soon. I mean, it's weird because it feels like Penny Hardaway is going about this a different way. It seems like years prior it was portal opens and you see 40 guys out there that have Memphis as a team that is interested. And this year that number of guys is much shorter, it seems like. And so I think Penny Hardaway's trying to be more tactful with this and tactical about who he brings in. You know, we got a text earlier today. Reggie texted in and said, Brett Bryant, do you think Penny will go after Jonathan Lawson or Earl Timberlake, or is he done with those players that leave the program? He's not going after either of those guys. I mean,
Please.
They left for a reason.
The idea of another Lawson, please. Don't threaten me like that.
No, I don't think he'd bring back either of those guys. I think Earl Timberlake was more pushed out than anything. Jonathan Lawson, I don't know either way, but I don't think either of those guys are coming back. I don't think anybody that leaves this program.
I think I'd rather see Tyler Harris back.
That's right. Oh, that's a good point, Brett. Tyler Harris did come back, but I doubt we see that. But it's certainly going to be a busy offseason for the Tigers and for Penny Hardaway, and I think soon, it seems like some guys are starting to make their decision. I think here in the next week or so, next couple of weeks, we could be seeing some movement.
I can't read it exactly, but I texted Kevin. I said, trying to call now, and he said, oh, no, I'm so sorry. I messed up the time zone. He's still in the air to Phoenix.
Oh, jeez.
Man. So we will try to catch up with him at 5:30.
Okay, perfect.
We will try to catch up with him at 5:30.
Awesome.
And just a little wire cross there.
No worries.
Thanks, Johnny. No worries. And we'll try to catch up with him. Man, and that is rare for him because he is – Steady Eddie.
Kevin's great. And,
he is great. So we'll try to catch up with him at 5:30, and if we can't today, we'll try to squeeze in tomorrow, Friday. Really booked up tomorrow and Friday. Tomorrow we will go to the Final Four and visit with the voice of the Crimson Tide tomorrow when we visit with Chris Stewart at the Final Four, and then on Friday we will have David Brandt from the Associated Press, at the Phoenix desk for the AP Sports there in Phoenix, and he's had a busy week with a lot of Suns games at night and Diamondbacks and Yankees and the college basketball show arriving.
Yeah, it seems like, I want to know when he sleeps because it seems like there's always something going on in Arizona.
It's a good beat.
For David, and plenty to talk about. I know the Final Four is going to dominate, but you could go any direction with Final Four, with the Suns, with the D-backs. Arizona and what they do in the draft. Plenty of stuff to talk to at all times.
Conference realignment. That's
another really good point.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Oh man. It never sleeps, I guess. And
that and the portal.
That's right. That and the portal.
Back to the Tigers and the portal.
Yep.
What is? And I'm not trying to create angst. I swear I'm not. What is the date of it's getting late? Oh no, we're kind of throwing it together again like last year, because that was the sentiment in the middle of it last year, and it ended up being and looking like thrown together.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think a lot of this, and it's kind of the two-edged sword, I think a lot of this rests on what David Jones decides to do. And obviously there is a lot of time for David Jones because, I mean, here's the thing. If Penny Hardaway picks up a couple of guys, 2 guys commit in the next month or so, and then David Jones announces, I'm coming back to Memphis, let's run it back for another year, then you feel really good.
Okay. Pretty good.
If you sign 2 guys that are okay players, they'll come in and do something, but not star-level guys, and then in a month or so, David Jones says, actually, I'm going to go to the draft. I'm going to go professional, go overseas. I'm going to transfer.
Oy.
Then it's a completely different conversation. And so, I mean, I think it's going to be a very, very weird offseason for the Tigers.
I do, too. One thing I would love to know in the news today of the new commissioner of the AAC that I know nothing about, but new commissioner of the AAC, we got to find out the number of conference basketball games we're going to play next year. Will it be 18? But should it be with the exit of SMU? I hope it's 16.
Yeah.
And one thing I hope the University of Memphis that they do in the contract negotiations with FedEx Forum and the Grizzlies over the games, they got to quit counting those 2 exhibition games against them.
Yeah, no, that's we talked about that the other day when we were talking scan count. I mean, first
all
of
right, let's meet halfway and just count 1.
Sure.
That should be fairly simple in negotiations, shouldn't it, Brian?
I think so.
And I don't think that's the Tigers being excessive at all.
No. And
look, the Grizzlies, whether to pay the full hit or the partial hit, in the big scheme, we're talking peanuts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we talked about it the other day when we were talking scan count. I mean, I think those exhibition games should be free and just come in and catch the team. But I think that's definitely something.
Maybe play one at the field house and one at FedEx Forum.
Yeah, I mean,
and both should be free.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. But yeah, you mentioned Tim Pernetti, the new commissioner for the AAC, announced earlier today. He's been the IMG Academy president. He was the Rutgers athletic director before that, but now he'll be the commissioner for the AAC. And it sounds like from a lot of people I've seen, it sounds like this is a popular hire. It sounds like a good hire for the AAC. Reading a story that I just found. Like Oresco, Pernetti has a background in both sports business, television, and college sports. Additionally, Pernetti worked with both Oresco and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Pettetti at CBS Sports in the 2000s, and they also each spent time at ABC Sports, ESPN. So it sounds like kind of similar to
been around the
Mike
block.
Oresco. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
good.
So I think this is a popular hire. I think a really good hire for the AAC.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But now here's kind of my differing with them. Hope we're not with you long.
Yes.
See you when we see you.
Yes. And,
And blow doors on this league.
Sure. And I think that's a hurdle that is going to be tough for Pernetti or any new commissioner for a conference.
There's Roy Kramer running it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that conference realignment has gotten so big and it's not stopping, and that's going to be something every single year you're going to have to deal with teams wanting to leave, teams wanting to join. I mean, it's a process that's always moving.
All right, summer of 2021 was Texas and OU.
Yep.
And that was a bolt of lightning. Summer of 22, really May of 22, wasn't it? Was USC, UCLA stunning. If it can be bigger than a bolt of lightning, it was bigger. Last year, I thought it was coming, and then crickets, May and June, and through media days, and then the whole world changes, and the disintegration, the end of the pack. I still can't believe
lost the whole conference, Brett.
And we're not talking about losing the Frontier League.
No. I mean, we're talking a Pac-12. I mean, a Power 5 conference. It's unbelievable.
Right. I mean, the conference, one half of the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
So all that happened. So this summer, with I guess last year's the 10, isn't it? I don't know what's the bigger, the 21, 22, 23. What was the biggest summer? I say last year when you lose that great conference.
And when you lose a whole conference and you've got teams going to both the Big Ten and the Big 12, I would say last year.
Just Cannonball Express, just everybody heading somewhere.
Yeah, just find a conference, and then you got two teams out there saying we need a conference. We need them,
All right, so that's the 10. Nothing's the 1.
Yeah.
What's this summer?
I mean, it feels like every year we said, well, I mean, what could happen? And nobody expected the.
And as Brent Beard told us yesterday, we know August 15th.
Yeah.
There's news of we're out of here from FSU.
Yeah. So I think, Brent,
that right there qualifies as a 4 or 5, doesn't it?
I think
just that standalone.
I think it's. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to say it's a 7 or an 8.
I am too, Brian.
Cause
up there big.
Here's the thing, Brett. If Florida State leaves, I think Clemson's right behind them.
And North Carolina, Virginia's looking at the door.
Then we could have the Avalanche, and that would certainly get it to probably a 10. I mean, so it could be a very busy offseason.
Sure could be, and I know it chafes people when I say this, but here's when it really becomes. Now, last summer was not the case because that really just it had nothing to do with the SEC last year. But when the SEC and the Big Ten when they do it, that's when it's earthquake.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think I'm sitting at 7 or 8 right now. I think that's where it's going to be.
And the Tigers will be in the middle of that. What's being done to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, and remember some of the upgrade to FedEx Forum is to the Tigers' benefit as well.
Absolutely,
they play there. I would say they're primary. Well, there's the owner; they're the primary tenant, and then the next one's is the Tigers.
Yeah,
I mean it's not like they're just a passive business partner.
No, not at all. And so I think that's another kind of struggle, hurdle, whatever you want to call it, for Pernetti coming in because you've already seen the teams that have left the American for other conferences. You saw those 3 go to the Big 12. Heck, you got SMU saying we'll play for free in the ACC to leave the American. Now you've got other teams like Memphis that have positioned themselves well to get into a conference if there is more realignment. So it's a tough battle for a lot of people when it comes to realignment.
I loved Andy Enfield, the former coach at USC that left to take the SMU job after it looked like Eric Musselman was going to take that. I don't know what happened there, but he said he would not have taken the SMU job but for their entry into the ACC. I don't doubt that, but he's leaving out a big part.
Yeah.
$3 or $4 million they're going to pay him.
Yes. No, we knew.
And he's leaving a state with heavy taxes for one with none.
Well, and we knew the second that SMU fired Rob Lanier that they were shooting for the fences. They had plenty of money. They were going to go out and give a large sum to a coach to be their coach going into the ACC. So yeah, you're right. But that's first day, you make that speech, you try to get everybody riled up, and it's never that, the money was just so good. How could I have passed off an offer? It was, the dedication to athletics and the dedication to basketball at this great
program. The trees
program.
and the flowers and the building.
A beautiful place. You'd want to be nowhere else. Never the check.
Give them your routing number. Exactly. That's all that really matters.
They're saying all that with this hand. And
I love that, Brett. Give them your routing number.
All it, Johnny, in the end, that's what.
That's all that matters.
It's straight to the point.
It's what I've always said about a free agent that I'm going to pick on somebody here that signs with, I don't know, whoever signs with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
I always drink. No, you didn't dream of being a Cardinal. No. They offered you the most in free agency, and you should take it. Don't apologize for that.
No, I'm with you. I
agree.
And it's with everything: coaching, free agency, a draft. You see that a lot. I've always dreamed of being a member of the Packers, of this great organization.
Man, they never loved the Packers,
and
man.
That they grew up being a Bears fan.
They don't own overcoat.
No.
It's crazy. It's amazing, though.
Caleb Williams being pretty honest about it.
Yeah.
Chicago's not ideal, but I learned to like it.
Yeah, and Caleb Williams has kind of been the kind of trailblazer of like this new age of maybe draft prospects that we could see. I mean, obviously he has the talent and is now kind of throwing his weight around. But I mean, some of these stories from Caleb Williams since he decided he was going to go to the draft have been different to say the least.
They have been, but I'm with Bo yesterday. I still think I take him over Jaden Daniels.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
That show I saw in person from Jaden Daniels, I talked about it that Monday afterwards.
You did.
And I compared it to Cam, to Johnny, to Joe Burrow, to Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks coming into Oxford and putting on a freak show and ball in his hands and throwing it for the end zone as the clock was ticking down to all zeros. There were some passes that night the defense was great on.
Yeah.
The pass rush was pretty good on, and he put it in a shoebox.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable talent.
Sure
he's unbelievable, man.
He sure is.
Caleb Williams grew up in the D.C. area, but I can't imagine many cold weather high school games. And I want to say in D.C. they even play some of their games Friday afternoon, Saturday morning. They might play on Friday night too, but I can't imagine many bitter cold games.
No.
And I sure know Jaden Daniels is not used to many bitter cold.
Well, and heck, for Caleb Williams, these past couple of years being in
sunny
LA,
California,
I mean, he
and
doesn't
Norman.
know anything, and then Norman before that, he doesn't know anything about cold weather at either of those places.
Right, we were talking about SMU, and they are. I don't blame them, and they bought their way into the ACC. They did. They wanted to get better. They did it. They changed coaches after 2 years. They thought they could be better. They're trying. They're looking forward to getting into the ACC. And I've told you of my friend that says their tailgate pregame scene. He says it's better than the Grove.
Oh,
now, he's very partial, but I hear it's great. And I've talked about their schedule next year, and I said we would get to it at some point. This is as good a time as any. So next year they open at Nevada. They could have played them as a member of the AAC, kind of, and then they play. Is their second game? HCU
Houston
Huskies,
Houston
Christian.
There you go.
Okay, they could have sure played them in the AAC, couldn't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Then BYU, that's not a league game. BYU's in the Big 12, so they could have played them in the ACC. Then TCU, well, they've always played them. I think they play for something. The Skillet, isn't it something?
It's something.
Then finally, FSU that says ACC.
That's right.
At home at Gerald Ford Stadium. And if the tailgate scene's been good in the past, it'll really be good with Mike Norvell and FSU rolling in. At Louisville, that's ACC.
Sure.
Then at Stanford.
That's ACC, Brett. Look out.
I know, but it doesn't really scream ACC.
No.
At Duke. Whatever league you're in, does that do a lot for you? Home against Pitt.
Yeah.
Home against Boston College. At UVA. Home against Cal. Again. Does that scream ACC?
Yeah.
Is that much better than what they played last year as a member in the AAC? It's a little better, but that much better.
Sure, I mean it's better, but it certainly does not scream. This is ACC
FSU
football.
is what screams.
That's what
it.
screams. But then you get that,
and they're on the way out.
That's right. I mean, you get that out of the way, and hey, I mean, you give me this schedule for basketball. Yeah, screams ACC. I mean, Duke, Pitt, Virginia, Louisville. I mean, that screams ACC basketball.
And I would take it in a second if it were the Memphis Tigers.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is even if you had
head over heels.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, Kim Pom, you can go and strength of schedule or whatever, anything that you could find that would say this schedule is better than this schedule between the Tigers and the SMU. It's the fact that they're playing in the ACC, and that makes it better, and their fans are going to be happy about it.
For next year, for 2024, with the exception of Florida State, and these teams meet, Memphis is better than every team on that schedule.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And we'll see that decided on the field in Tallahassee.
That's right. We will. I'm excited about that one. So, Who would have thought SMU in their first year of the ACC, a similar opponent with the Tigers. How about that? Florida State, I love
And
it.
that will be one that the rest of the country could wake up to. Seth Hennigan and the Memphis Tigers.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree. And Brett, you making a real great point, you and Brian, especially when you're thinking about that Florida State game. Like, the whole world can know who Seth Hennigan is, the whole college landscape. Especially, y'all know this like I do, a lot of them games, a lot of them teams just think, oh, this is just Memphis. And a lot of times they take the gas off the pedal, man, and they take the foot off the gas. So Memphis got I really do feel they have a really good chance of upsetting them in there, man.
And that is a week 3 game FSU for the Tigers, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. And it's early in the season.
North Alabama, Troy at home, and then to FSU, right? Tigers clear out of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium for the Southern Heritage Classic that weekend, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that 3, and then you turn around and have to start conference at Navy. So that'll be an interesting.
So
2
now I'm
games.
at FSU again. Nothing screams at ACC like Cal traveling from Berkeley to Tallahassee.
I mean, welcome to the ACC. It just means more distance travel, I guess.
You got to leave a day early, don't you?
I think you got to. I mean, that's brutal.
And I mean early Thursday.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's just so. It's going to be so tough for these
And remember when we heard all those reports that they're going to have, and Johnny can understand this from the equipment world. They're going to have storage sites.
the hubs everywhere.
Yeah, they're gonna have them everywhere, man.
Where are they?
Yeah.
We've heard that. I'm ready to see some concrete being laid.
You and me both, man. I'm trying to see.
Soon, I guess.
Because Johnny, you know this. The guy with the bus with the stuff. I almost said the wrong word. It's often said.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
with all the stuff. You can't be driving the bus from Berkeley to Tallahassee in a day and a half.
Yeah, that is true, man.
And get everything back to have practice on Monday.
Man, yeah, and that's a turnaround too, man. It's
going to kill equipment people.
Yeah, it is, man. So like, man, that's why a lot of times
support staff, the advance party people that leave usually a day early to get to the hotel.
Yeah,
have
the
operations
set up. Yeah, operations,
and that's quite elaborate.
So man, it's gonna be hectic. A lot of times they do prepare like a week in advance for everything, but especially going to Florida State, man, they probably gonna have to get prepared like 2 weeks in ahead, man. There's a lot
Johnny,
to prepare.
You know this. A lot of times the travel party will do a site survey in the summertime.
Yeah,
they'll go.
Yeah,
they'll go check out hotels for space, where to park all the buses. That's a big thing at a big staging area, hotel parking lot. Somebody at Cal Berkeley, they're going to spend all summer lobbing around. That's usually a 2 or 3 day trip to find the right place if you don't have any history of going there.
Yeah, and Brett, you making a real great point.
And they don't.
You making a real great point. Then you got to think about all the meeting rooms you got to do, man. There's a lot of stuff goes into this, man. So yeah. That's going to be a process, man. It's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to the game,
and
man.
They usually take, a security representative, too, on that site survey.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Now if you've got it down and you're used to going to a place like an SEC, and everybody in SEC, when you play at Auburn, you stay at Montgomery, it's Renaissance. Yeah. The whole world knows that. You have that down. But when you have a new place, that's what you have to go check out. And it's all new to those teams.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be a lot of new.
It's going to be a lot of new.
Brett, I'm sure you're ahead of me. I don't mean to put your personal business out there, especially when it comes to the Cardinals.
I'm an open book. I'm an open book, Brian. I have no secrets, Johnny.
And I want to make sure, because I didn't question you about this, but I was in the restroom during the break, and Brett, you were talking to Johnny, and I think I heard while I was in the restroom when Nolan Arenado was up to the plate, I'm pretty sure I heard Brett say, biggest at bat of the season.
Okay, that might have been a little much. I can exaggerate sometimes.
And then, Johnny, after the at bat, say worst at bat of the season.
But that doesn't violate
No. It was all fair. It was behind the scenes. It was a gray area moment. But don't look now. I'm sure you're a little bit ahead of me. But 2 on, no out in the top of the
base
8th.
runners everywhere.
Back-to-back hitters hit by pitches for the Cardinals. So how about that?
I think Goldie coming up.
How about that? Biggest at bat of the season, Brett?
Now, if I were to say something like this, would it violate my 1 week that I've been great in?
You have.
I'm gonna quote Penny Hardaway. I've been great.
For what it's worth, you've been good this week, I guess.
And so, if I were to say, and would this be a violation of our entire pitching staff wears the first number of 5? We got a bunch of 50s out there. That wouldn't violate it, would it?
No, that would not violate it. You're right.
Well, I can say that then. 52 and 57 and 59
and
so many 50s.
There's a lot of 50s. And, Brett, I feel like I see the same tweet every day the Cardinals are playing during the game. I feel like I see the same tweet of Matthew Libator warming up for the 5th inning, warming up for the 6th inning.
Yeah, he's your guy.
He's my guy. I feel like Matthew Libator is going to pitch every single game.
Hey, I see the same tweet, Brian.
Well, young prospect, bro. He's a young guy.
When we know the only 2 Cardinals in the 50s that were great were number 50, Adam Wainwright, and 51, Willie McGee.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe
Skip Schumacher was a good 55.
That's yes, but maybe all these.
But he wasn't Waino or Willie McGee.
Maybe all these pitchers are trying to, implement or impersonate those guys and become a
base
part of
runners
the
everywhere, ball flying around like it's Little League. Are you watching?
I am behind, so I don't know.
Little League is completely broken out in Diego.
That. Oh, I love a Little League moment. And,
people running around covering bases that don't even know what. People coming out of the stands to cover a base.
I love that.
I love it.
All right, hold up. I see it. Okay, 1. Oh, got by him. Couldn't scoop it. That was for a run. How about that? I love it.
Caromed off stubby clap.
Well, yes.
Brett, what you said is like Little League.
Ball flying around everywhere.
Johnny, one time in Little League, we had 2 balls in play. I was the catcher. The ball got away from me, got over by the equipment bag, and another kid picked up the real game ball and threw it into play. And I picked up another ball over by the equipment bag. It was 2 balls flying around.
Love that.
Umpire just stopped the game. It's like, just stop. Just everybody stop right where they are right now.
He paused the game. He had to pause.
We had 2 balls in play.
Jeez, I love
That's
that.
amazing.
We'll get a new pitcher for the Padres here. But we need to get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending. That's next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Are you someone who tries to drive while distracted by your phone? Someone who props it on the steering wheel or peeks down at it for a glance? Or just scrolls and scrolls? If so, you could be the next person to get into a fender bender, get a ticket, veer off the road, or even cause a crash that kills you or someone else. Enough already. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
You watch sports. You listen to sports. Now let's talk sports. Are you a huge sports fan with always something to say but only a few listeners? Well, not anymore, because Sports 56 is opening the airwaves overnight. From 12 midnight till 6 a.m. for people like you to talk sports during your own 1-hour radio talk show on Sports After Dark. That means for 1 hour, you can tell us what's really on your mind regarding sports. Your favorite sports team, your favorite player, discuss pre-games, post-games, all games. Let's talk. Orientation is required. Interested applicants must contact the podcast center at gmail.com or call 901-468-3097. That's the podcast center at gmail.com or 901-468-3097. Amateur and professional talk show hosts encouraged to apply.
Required orientation is Saturday, April 13th, or you can take it online.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South T-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Trying to clean up this crash on 240 eastbound in Mount Moriah. It's almost the same place we had one yesterday that caused a pretty good backup. They were dodging debris, 55 northbound. It looked like it was going to be right near Winchester. Again, it's still a little bit heavy over here on 240 east, just trying to get past Poplar. Exercise some patience. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now, talk some college hoops with the Final Four right around the corner. Kevin Sweeney joins us now. Go give him a follow on Twitter at CBB_Central. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. It was a fun weekend wrapping up the Sweet 16 and then the Elite 8. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend of the Elite 8?
Look, I think it was always felt like a UConn-Purdue championship game would be the ideal way to end the season. And so the fact that we had a chance to have that in Phoenix is, to me, the big story. Both teams obviously looked fantastic. Different ways, obviously. UConn dominant, but Purdue to weather the storm the way that they did early against Tennessee, see, kind of their season flash before their eyes and bounce back and play as well as they did. I was really impressed and looking forward to seeing them out here in Phoenix.
Yeah. And Kevin, I swear we just touched on that it's almost a shame all the run up to the two games on Saturday. If we get Purdue UConn like we all suspect, we won't have a lot of time really for promotion and to elaborate on it because they're right back out there Monday night for what could be one of the great final games ever.
Yeah, look, storylines galore, right? UConn trying to repeat, Purdue trying to complete the Virginia redemption story. Compelling coaches, compelling players, the list goes on. I think it's just a chance to be a truly phenomenal game. Obviously, both teams have to get through one first, and I do think there's a chance they'll be tested. Alabama's ability to shoot threes is obviously very unique, and NC State on a run of a lifetime. It's hard to end those. So, obviously, a long way to go to get to Monday night, but if that is the matchup, I think we'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Here in Memphis, we obviously have a lot of Tennessee fans that listen in, Tennessee fans in this area, and it feels like Tennessee Twitter, most of the Tennessee fans were a little frustrated at Zach Edey, how he was being officiated in that game against Tennessee. He gets, 22 free throws, and a lot of people saying, well, those weren't fouls. But when I see it, I just see a dominant big man that has so much size and strength on these opponents and really knows how to control his body and draw those fouls. Where do you stand on this Zach Edey situation?
Look, I think Zach Edey gets fouled pretty much every possession.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of how do you manage the calls. I think I'm much more compelled by the idea that maybe they don't get, that Edey doesn't get called for enough fouls himself. But I do think that there's a lot of kind of 50-50 calls that don't get called on both ends because the refs don't want to make the game have 60 fouls, right? Zach Edey could foul out every game, but so would every starting backup a third-string center, right? Like, that's the impact he takes. It's not an easy thing to deal with. Like, I wish there was an easy fix. There isn't. He's just a dominant basketball player. It's frustrating. In fact, if I was a Tennessee fan, I'm sure I'd be sitting up there and complaining about whistles and whatnot, but it's hard to watch the film and see an easier way of going about this because, look, there are fouls. Like, almost every one of them, I think, if you audited it, you'd say that clearly was a foul that had to be called.
I know the answer to this is, look, man, you're at the Final Four. The pressure's off. You've gotten to the promised land. But these four coaches, and I don't think anything is very exaggerated. But which one of the four's got the most pressure on them this weekend?
Man, that's a great question. I think probably Matt Painter, just because I think he's probably the furthest into his program's build. Right, like at the end of the day, Kevin Keith has solidified himself at NC State for a while. I'm not sure what the direction is long term, but he'll be there early, obviously, as a championship. Oates is still in year 5. Like, yes, there's a huge weight off by making the Final Four, and that validates a lot that Painter has done for a long time. That being said, I do think like winning the championship and completing that Cinderella story from last year would be, truly remarkable and solidify him as a Hall of Famer and an all-time great.
Well, you mentioned it a couple minutes ago. It feels like Purdue and UConn is what we're going to see Monday night in the national championship, which would be an unbelievable championship game. But if we get that matchup, who do you think cuts down the nets?
Look, I've been at 8 of the 10 UConn games in this tournament, two-year tournament run. All 6 last year and then the 2 in Boston this past weekend. And they seem like they get better every time. Like, it is so scary how good they are, how dominant they are right now. I have a hard time picking against them. I think they'd find a way. I think Edey could cause some problems and maybe get Klingon in foul trouble, but UConn just has so many ways to beat you. And the fact that they haven't really shot the 3 that great this tournament and still been as dominant as they have been probably says everything about how dangerous this group is if they finally click here in Phoenix from beyond the arc.
All right, it's been a fun guessing game. How many threes does Bama have to make Saturday just to keep it within hailing distance?
Probably 17, 18, right?
18's the record.
That would be the number, right? I think back to when Alabama played Purdue earlier in the year, and obviously they posed different challenges. But Alabama came out and made something like 14 threes in the first half and 20 in the game. And they still didn't win, but it gave them a shot, right? Because Nate Oates wasn't going to go in there and coach to lose by 10. He was like, all right, like if we get killed, we get killed, but I'm going to try to win the game. And that's going out and shooting a million threes and hope for the best, right? So I think that's what they're going to do. I think they can cause some problems for UConn just with the pace. It's such a unique style, and obviously Mark Spears is a phenomenal guard, so it gives you a chance. But I do think at the same time it's a Herculean task to try to get over the hump against a team like UConn that can beat you in so many ways.
What's the first warning sign for Alabama that they could just get the doors blown off?
It's funny, like, I was talking to a coach that played UConn this year, and he said something to me that I haven't heard anyone else talk about, which was that everything UConn does on both ends of the floor that gets talked about is really to cover for the fact that they're the most lethal transition team in the country. Like, they absolutely destroy you when they get out and run. And so that's an interesting position for Alabama to be in, because on one hand, they have to be super opportunistic and run off misses and try to get easy ones. But at the same time, they can't turn this just into a track meet. Right? They're going to have to force UConn to score against that defense. Otherwise, they will get sliced and diced and give up 120 points. So I think the early concern would be if they can't force UConn into half court offensively. That's when I'd be worried if I'm Nate.
Talking to Kevin Sweeney, joins us every week to talk college basketball. Go give him a follow on Twitter at CBB_Central. Well, the biggest non-NCAA tournament story has got to be Eric Musselman and what he does. He was supposed to be meeting with the USC administration earlier today, the AD, and all those guys. And it sounds like he's the favorite and that USC really wants him. He's the leader for them. Do you expect Eric Musselman to be the USC head coach on the first game of the season next year?
Yeah, look, obviously things can change quickly in this carousel. But right now, I would make my bet on Musk getting that job. I think for him, it's an opportunity to get back to LA, get a little bit out of the spotlight. I think he's such a big personality, but I do think it still wore on him to be the guy in a state that cares so deeply about basketball. I think all the booster management and all the relationships and all that stuff, I think was hard. And I think he's someone, honestly, kind of similar to like a Lon Kruger or a Buzz Williams, or he's never going to stay somewhere too long in his career because, he kind of goes balls to the wall, goes nuts there for a short stretch, and then, wears out his welcome, and it's time to get out before people try to fire you. And I think that's really what Musk ran into at Arkansas. USC a great restart button. It's a really good job in the Big Ten, which means something to Musk, given his dad's ties to the state of Minnesota. Him getting to go back to LA, I think, appeals to him quite a bit. So I do think that's the likely outcome, and we'll see what happens in Arkansas if that does.
What does happen in Arkansas? Who do you think they hire?
The names you hear are Chris Beard, Jerome Tang, and Will Wade. Now, the contract extension for Beard creates some questions buyout-wise. Is that feasible? But obviously there will be people in Arkansas from Beard's time at Little Rock that want him back in the state. Will Wade, certainly experienced in the SEC. I think fits Arkansas, wants to get back to that league. And then Tang has been the subject of rumors all season, really, and just hasn't had the right job to move out. Maybe this is the one that he goes after. Might be some other names that emerge, but I would imagine those three will be the ones that get the most speculation early on.
Kevin, you tell me if you've heard different than this, that the buyout for Chris Beard at Ole Miss is a shade under $2 million, but that Eric Musselman will also owe Arkansas $1 million.
That sounds about right. I don't know the exact number with Beard, but I don't necessarily believe it to be prohibited. So, especially with the money kind of changing hands to make the Musk transaction happen, I think Arkansas can probably make the Beard hire happen if they want to. Obviously, Beard would have to want to do that as well. Starting to build something on this, we'll see how that develops. But I do think that he will be at least in the conversation for that job if and when it opens.
If those things happen, what's the first call for Keith Carter at Ole Miss? Who does he hire?
Well, you could trickle right down and say, well, Will Wade, come on down, right, and see if he wants that jump to the SEC. I think the calculus for him would be the same: get back into the league. The resources are good. I think you can win at Ole Miss now. I think Beard has probably left it in a better place than he found it a year ago.
I think so. I do think that.
I think it improves the perception of the job. And, I think there's a high likelihood that Will Wade is involved in this in some form, whether it's at Arkansas or Ole Miss. I do think there's a very strong chance he is a domino involved in the Musselman transaction.
Yeah, well, definitely something to keep an eye on. Kevin, I know you're super busy today, so thanks so much for making
Kevin.
some time for us and getting on with us. And enjoy these games this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. Have a good one.
No worries.
Thanks, Kevin.
At all. Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin Sweeney joining us, and so glad that we could get him on, make some time.
Me too.
And no worries at all to him. I mean, he is a very busy man.
And we'll wrap next Wednesday with him.
Yeah, and but that's going to be something to keep an eye on with this. I mean, it really does seem like Chris Beard, if you believe what you see on social media, it seems like that is one of the guys that if Arkansas has to make a coaching move, is a guy that people want Arkansas to go after and that Arkansas would likely go after. So,
and he did make a lot of friends in that 1 year at UALR in among the Little Rock Razorback fan base.
Absolutely. So I think dominoes might fall in the next couple of days, and it could get really, really wild in the SEC. Well, we need to take our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Are you aware? It's patio season. Family Leisure sure is. That's why they have factory direct pricing on swimming pools, spas, and even, yes, patio furniture. Yes, sir, it's indeed patio season. So come by Family Leisure and check out all the brand new 2024 patio furniture sets. And with patio season here, you know that pool season will be here before you even know it. So buy now to get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Plus, you could save $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even up to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Family Leisure has got special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and even outdoor kitchens. I love it when it's patio season because of all the fantastic deals that Family Leisure makes available just for you. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Hey, baseball fans, go yard with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. All season long, we're offering top odds on your favorite home run bets, shared 50K Grand Slam jackpots, fast and convenient ways to play same-game parlays, special boosts and tokens, and so much more. From the first pitch to the game-winning fireworks, there are more ways than ever to supercharge your excitement. Whether you want to combine multiple bets for the chance at a bigger payout or place a live bet as the game unfolds, BetMGM has all the home run betting options you could need. Download the BetMGM app, head to the ballpark, and get your piece of MLB action. BetMGM is an official partner of Major League Baseball. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age or older. Tennessee only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards or non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Hernando, Little Rock, and Cleveland, Mississippi specializes in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so. Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
Geraldo, it is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, pretty short and sweet. Former Memphis running back Patrick Taylor Jr. signed a 1-year deal with the 49ers earlier today. A guy that, was brought in as a undrafted free agent to the Packers, has been able to spend a lot of time with them. I think was cut at one point, but brought back, and now getting a 1-year deal with the 49ers. Just
getting good and healthy.
Absolutely. And this offseason has really been big for former Tigers, and he just adds on to it. I mean, we talked about it a lot during free agency, those Tigers that were getting money, getting paid over the offseason. Now, good to see Patrick Taylor has a home for next year.
What I learned today, decent start for the Cardinals. If we could pull this one out with Brandon Crawford at the dish right now. Now the long flight home. Many hadn't been home in St. Louis for a while. And then tomorrow at the ballpark for the best opening day in all of sports. Red-clad St. Louis will be on fire tomorrow.
What I could have done without the Athletics' Andrew Marchand reported earlier today that the Fox Sports' NIT rival is official and will start in 2025. So we'll have another consolation tournament in
Was that market driven?
I don't think so. I don't think it was driven by anybody. It's going to be a 16-team tournament that will feature 2 auto bids for the Big 10, Big 12, and Big East. Those are 3 conferences that will have television deals with that network. The rest will be at-larges, but I'm not a huge fan of it. It's going to be played in Vegas from March 31st to April 5th. That is way too late, even if you can convince teams to come and play. I mean, here's the thing. I saw this earlier because I was sitting there going, March 31st? That is so late. I found a story from the Philadelphia Inquirer that was written on March 26th. On March 26th, there were already 900 players in the transfer portal. So that means March 31st, when they want this tournament to start, there was well over 1,000 guys in the transfer portal. Now we think that this is going to actually succeed, that teams, we already had teams opt out of the NIT this year. We think there are going to be teams not only go to the NIT, but also go to this tournament in Vegas. I think this is a horrible idea.
I would imagine those teams that are in that league that have contractual agreements with them won't be able to turn that down.
They'll be forced to, and there are going to be some mad coaches when that happens.
And players, curfew will be a disaster.
Ooh, oh, yeah.
I mean, there's no way.
Talk about the when watching NIT games. Do these teams really want to be out there? There'll be a lot of questioning that when this rolls around.
Johnny, that'll be one of those when the GA goes back to the head coach on bed check. Coach, 0 for 17. Nobody made curfew.
You are correct, man. That's going to be a disaster. That's going to be a disaster.
I could have done without this, and I've talked about it. I know coaching is not in the real world, but I'd just give anything if Musselman turned it down, got back to Fayetteville, and go, you don't work here anymore. Sorry.
That would certainly make a statement and get your point across to take a stand like that. I don't think we'll have to worry about it because I think Muss is going to be offered. I think
by bedtime. Accept it. We keep kicking it back, though, don't we?
I think we get something tomorrow. I don't think we get anything today at this point, but I think we get something tomorrow, and then
used to. Everything has changed. Mm-hmm. They didn't want anything from about this point on stepping on the Final Four.
Well, I'm afraid things have changed, and I think we get an announcement probably tomorrow. And then the real question is going to be what does Arkansas do to replace Musselman? Where are you beaming tonight?
Boston for Oklahoma City at the Celtics. This could be the NBA Finals preview. Oklahoma City won the January 2nd game in OKC in a classic. That's coming on in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, getting ready to start here at 6:30 on ESPN. Beam me to a late night game, I guess later game, not a late night game, but 7 o'clock, Magic and Pelicans, both teams squarely in the mix for the playoffs, just trying to get positioning, but both teams really want wins to get in better spots, so that should be a fun one at 7.
Long day of baseball already. It's a busy night in the NBA, 9 NBA games, and the next to last rodeo of the year for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, only a couple of Major League Baseball games the rest of the day because, like you said, a lot of day baseball today as teams trying to travel, get to their next series. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. Enjoy that Grizzlies game tonight on Bally's. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of